A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Kroger Tender Ray Beef, no other beef so fresh can be so tender, presents Hearts in Harmony, transcribed.
Friends, I'd like to take just a moment to explain something that may have troubled you. The reason behind the scarcity of Kroger Tender Ray Beef. Of course, only the top quality grades are used for Kroger Tender Ray. I'm sure you already know that, for Tender Ray is always fresh and tender and juicy. But something you may not know is that beef like that, real top-quality beef, is grain-fed. Now, real grain-fed beef is extremely scarce these days because every available ounce of that good grain is needed to feed millions of starving people the world over. When those people no longer face famine, then the farmers will once more use that grain for cattle feeding. So, for the time being, you won't be able to get those juicy, fresh, and tender Kroger Tender Ray steaks and roasts. Still, as I have recently told my friends and customers, I hope it won't be too long until we'll again have a plentiful supply of Kroger Tender Ray beef. But remember, until Tender Ray is plentiful again, Kroger will bring you the best beef on today's market.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much indeed. And now, Hearts in Harmony. Penny Gibbs has faced many upsets and disappointments in her young life, but none so tragic as being deserted by Steve Parker on the eve of their wedding. And now, almost a week later, Penny is more bewildered than shocked. She asks Suzanne,
"Oh, Suzanne, why did Steve do it? What made him leave without a word of explanation? Why haven't I heard from him since?"
There must be an answer to all those questions, Penny, but I don't know any of them. Men do things strangely sometimes. But if we women are patient, soon they come back to us with reasons for what they have done.
Yeah, men do strange things sometimes. And women are forgiving sometimes.
All the time, Penny.
I suppose I'll be no exception. But you'd like to be, though. I've been hurt so deeply I can feel the hurt just as if a knife were sticking in me. Suzanne, I'd be a fool to forgive Steve for what he's done, but if I could just see him standing in front of me now, I know I'd forgive him. I'd forgive him completely, without question. And I'd be a fool to do it, wouldn't I?
No, Penny, you would not be a fool. You would be a woman in love.
I'm beginning to think being a fool and a woman in love are one and the same. Suzanne, this wouldn't have happened to me if I hadn't fallen in love with Steve.
Or if he had not fallen in love with you. Imagine how he must feel. Perhaps even worse than you do, because this is all his fault.
But is it his fault? That's what I want to know. Could he have kept this from happening?
No, Penny, I don't think so. Or he would not have let it happen. I'm sure he's very much in love with you. Perhaps more now than ever before. Because surely he must know that what he has done may cause him to lose you.
Suzanne, you're just like the others. Mother, Jed, Pat, Johnny. All trying to console me. But deep down in your heart, you know the truth of what's happened. Steve just suddenly didn't want to marry me.
Oh, now, why do you say that?
Because it's the only thing he couldn't explain to me. He couldn't face me and say on the very night before our wedding that he couldn't marry me. Suzanne, anything else he could have explained or should have if he cared about me.
You don't know for sure.
No, I don't. I only know what I'd have done in the same position. I'd have gone to Steve and said the wedding had to be postponed or put off indefinitely until I worked myself out of some difficulty. That's the way you treat someone you love. Look, you better go see who's at the door, Suzanne. If it's Professor Rogers, tell him I'm not here.
Professor Rogers? Why do you mention him?
He was here yesterday wanting to see me. I don't want to see him. Tell him, will you?
Yes, of course. Yes?
Hello, Suzanne. Penny in?
Oh, Johnny. Yes, come in.
Thank you.
My, but you're looking well.
Oh, don't let the sunburn fool you. How's Penny today?
Oh, not so well. But she's not moping now. The shock seems to have worn off a little.
Good. Think maybe she'll see me.
I don't know, Johnny. I'll ask.
Yeah.
Penny?
Yes, Suzanne.
It's Johnny Keith. Will you see him?
Johnny. Oh, yes. Come in, Johnny.
Right away, Penny. Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you for coming to see her, Johnny. Perhaps it will help. Cheer her up, will you?
Do my best.
Try to get her to sing a song. Singing often helps.
Good idea. I'll see what I can do.
Johnny, what are you doing out there?
Wish me luck, Suzanne.
I do.
Johnny.
Come here, Penny. I was just plotting with Suzanne a little bit.
Plotting with Suzanne? What about?
Oh, nothing that would interest you. Hey, you look great.
Yeah, I bet.
Look, Penny, I'll get right to the point and not kid around at all. In a sort of negative way, I think I know what happened to Parker.
What, Johnny?
Oh, now, wait a minute, Penny. Don't get your hopes up. I haven't found him. Haven't even found a trace of him. But I have found out where he's not. And if it makes you feel any better about what happened to him the night before the wedding, I'll tell you this. He's in trouble of some kind.
Trouble? Oh, why do you think so?
Well, it's just like the last time he got in trouble, or we thought he was. He's not at any of his offices or projects anywhere in the country.
Well, how can you be sure?
Well, I can't be absolutely positive, Penny, but... Well, I don't think every man in the Parker Enterprises from coast to coast is going to lie to me. Not a man that I talk to at any of his offices knows where he is. In fact, they're screaming their heads off, yelling for him themselves. Sounds to me as if his whole business is going
Oh,
down.
no, Johnny.
Yes, and that might be the reason he left you in such a hurry and didn't take time to explain. Maybe he didn't know what to explain. Maybe he didn't know which way the war was going to tumble and he didn't want to scare you when there wasn't any reason to.
No. He didn't want to frighten me. All he wanted to do was to break my heart.
Oh, Penny, give the poor guy a break. Maybe his business is suddenly folding up under him. Maybe he's in a terrible jam and he just got so excited and spun around by all of it he didn't know what he was doing.
No, Johnny. Thanks for trying to defend him again, but I've seen Stephen jam his face with the worst kind of problems. That's when he's at his best. That's when he thinks more clearly than ever before.
Well, maybe this was something worse than he'd ever faced in his life. Look, Penny, if this house was suddenly to catch on fire and we were just about trapped, would you curtsy and say, "Pardon me, Johnny," before you ran for the nearest exit? And maybe Parker's sorry he ran out on you now. Maybe he wants to write to you, call you, come back to you or something. But he doesn't know what to do or what to say. And just like a guy, he's making it worse by not doing anything at all.
Oh, Johnny.
Hey, no tears, Penny.
No. I won't cry.
What'd I do, anyhow?
It's not what you've done, Johnny. It's what you are. You're so sweet.
Me?
You are. You're fighting for Steve as if you were fighting for yourself. Johnny, I don't know what I'd have done these last few days without you.
Been a lot better off, maybe.
No, you've made me feel better than anyone has. You said the things that make the most sense. I always feel good when I finish talking to you.
Well, I've had my say, and I'm finished now. Feel good?
You're comparatively speaking.
But not great?
I can't.
I know that.
You do understand how I hurt, don't you, Johnny?
Sure do, Penny. I know how a guy feels after he's hurt you, too.
Johnny, don't go into it.
Don't worry, we won't. Well, come on now, let's see you smile.
Smile?
Yeah, you know, Grin, smile.
Oh, Johnny.
Hey, come back with that. That was a laugh.
I didn't mean to overdo it, but you do make me feel better.
Swell. Now, want to make me feel better?
If I can.
Okay, how about a song?
No, I don't feel that good.
Well, how do you know until you try? Come on, that'll make us both feel better.
Do I have to?
I'll pester you till you do.
Is that what you plotted with Suzanne?
I cannot tell a lie. Yes.
Well, if it was a plot, I'll try and make it successful. What would you like to hear?
You singing.
What?
Song.
This song?
Well, you singing it. It'll be great.
Let's wait and see. Where are you? Where have you gone without me? I thought you cared about
about me. The dream we started, I can't believe we're parted. Where are you? When we said goodbye, love, what had we to gain? When I gave you my love, was it all in vain? All life through, must I go on pretending? Where is my hat?
Penny, please.
Let me see who's at the door.
Sure.
Professor Rogers, tell him I'm sorry, but I can't see.
Okay. Oh. Hi, Professor.
Oh, Johnny, hello. Miss Gibbs in?
Yeah, she is, Stuart. I guess you heard her singing a few minutes ago. Oh, wait a minute. I'll close the door. We can talk out here on the porch. There. Now, what's the trouble, Stuart?
Oh, it's not trouble, Johnny. It's, well, almost a personal matter, and then it isn't a personal matter. Well, I'd like to talk to Miss Gibbs.
I see. Well, look, Stuart, maybe if you'd give me a hint of what this is all about, I could talk to Penny into seeing you. Or can it wait till she feels like seeing you on her own?
Well, it can wait, I suppose, but I don't like the idea of it waiting.
Oh, what's so important that it can't wait? Penny's sort of upset, you know.
Oh, I know that. I imagine she's terribly upset, and I'm sorry. Well, give her my regards, will you?
Oh, well, you don't want me to try to get you in to see her, huh?
Oh, no, not if I have to tell you why I want to see her, Johnny. And it's not that I'm trying to be secretive or anything, keep anything from you like that you should know. It's just that, well, it's only fair that I tell Penny what's on my mind before I tell you or anybody else.
And if you can't tell Penny?
Well, then I won't tell anyone. I won't have to. Truth will come out by itself. And Miss Gibbs will be in for another unhappy shock.
What does Professor Rogers mean by saying Penny will be in for another unhappy shock? And what does he want to see Penny about? Does he know something about the strange disappearance of Steve Parker? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony.
Friends, it'll certainly be a happy day for all of us when you can walk into your Kroger store and get plenty of Kroger Tenderay beef again. But in the meantime, while Tenderay is scarce, you still want to serve meals that will please your entire family. So here's a little tip. Visit your Kroger store and look over our wonderful selection of seafoods. We're offering you the finest flavored fish and seafood you'll find in town. And there's a reason. It's because our seafood, with that fresh-caught flavor, is rushed right to the store by Kroger's own special rush delivery system. Thus, you see, the flavor is naturally protected. The firm white flesh is preserved for your enjoyment. In fact, when you buy Kroger selected seafood, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Plan to get some real soon, won't you?
3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents X minus 1. Tonight's story, The Green Hills of Earth. The men who pioneer the trade routes of the world, the sailors of the clipper ships, the whaling men, railroaders, black gangs on the tramp steamers, all have their own stories and song about dangers and struggles of their lives.
This is the story of Riesling, the blind singer of the spaceways. When I first met him, he was hustling drinks in the Twin Moons bar at Dry Waters, Mars. He'd won a guitar off a Chinese barkeep at Luna City by cheating at one thumb. And he made his whiskey by singing in the bar and passing the hat.
Hey, listen to her, Hertzman. Don't you sing pretty? Like a 16-year-old gal.
Hey, Riesling, look over there at the bar. There's an Institute 4 striper giving you the idea, you know him?
Manner of speaking. Cold-looking scoundrel, ain't he? Gives the idea he graduated Harriman Space Institute 3 men above St. Peter.
Who is he?
Captain Hicks off the Ghost Show.
Yeah, well, he sure gives you the once-over. Maybe he's got a job.
That don't make never no mind to me. I've been blacklisted. Hicks logged me for making up a song on watch. Right by song, too.
Oh, the skipper is a father to his crew.
Yeah, well, hold on. Here comes old Grasshopper.
Oh, Riesling, I've been looking for you. You've kept your nose clean, and we're going to give you another chance to get back to deep space.
Been a little changing down there from the Goshawk, ain't you, Skipper?
How'd you know that?
You got that new atomic pile drive.
If there's been a leak at the shops,
Now, take it easy, Skip. You'll have that gold braid just a-crawling right up your arm.
Quit stalling, Riesling. Take it or leave it. It's a loop trip to Jupiter with the standard release.
I reckon. Double pay when you get back, if you get back. Last 3 of them atomic tea kettles blew somewhere in the asteroids.
If you're scared.
Scared? Well, that Goshawk is one stinking old tub. Her engine's got more bugs than a beagle dog in spring. And that new drive's about as safe as a pretty gal in the Ozarks. But I reckon she'll do for one more trip.
Welcome home, Riesling.
Hi, Jimmy Legs. Meet my friend Hertzman. He can't hold his liquor no more than a sieve, poor boy.
Riesling, you sober enough to sign the book?
Drunk or sober, I make my mark. Stand aside.
3 X's?
Took me a middle name.
Ha, ha, ha. You 2 lay below. And Hertzman,
Yeah?
get him sobered up before the skipper makes rounds. Cargo stowed, Captain. Fuel lines away and ready.
Good, Casey. What's that?
What it? Oh, that's a guitar, I guess.
If it's that shoeless hillbilly, I'm going to tell him.
Hi, Skipper.
Riesling, what the devil are you doing up here?
That number 2 jet ain't fit. Cadmium dampers are warped. Crooked like a turtle's back.
Well, why tell me? Tell the chief engineer.
I did. He says they'll hold.
Well?
He's wrong.
Oh, he's wrong, eh? He's got a Harriman Institute degree in electronics and power. And some drunk space rat says he's wrong.
Skipper, I was damping jets when that shirt-tailed tad wore pins for buttons.
I got no time for your Riesling. Scratch your name off the book.
No, don't get excited.
Well, are you shipping or not?
I reckon.
Then get below. That's all. Casey, sound takeoff.
Aye, sir.
Come on, boy.
On a Hawk-class clunker Parker in those days, damping was done by hand with a multiplying vernier and a danger peeper. Jetman slept with one ear tuned to that, and as long as the peeper ticked off slow and steady, we knew the ship was safe. For a while. Riesling, you better stow that guitar. If Jimmy Legs catches you, you'll blow a gasket.
Don't worry, I could damp this tea kettle in my sleep.
Yeah, how's number 2?
All right, so far. Say, did you ever hear that song about Hicks? The one that got me blacklisted?
Oh, the skipper is the father of his crew. A gentle guide and light to me and you. But on Mars he likes his women if they walk or if they're swimming. Or if they got 6 arms instead of 2.
Second verse is better.
Yeah. The skipper likes his liquor by the quart. Yeah, he'd go from Mars to Venus for a snort. He'll drink rocket fuel and...
Well, hi, Skipper. Didn't see you come in.
You were too busy, eh? Who's watching the gauge?
I got an eye on it. Don't you fret none.
Riesling, I'm going to fix it so you couldn't get a space berth on a rocket-powered pogo stick. You're logged. Report to Casey under arrest.
I don't rightly think I will, Skipper.
You what?
You kind of forget, Skipper. According to Space Code, you can't remove a jetman till the end of the watch, right?
You tell me Riesling, your ship is over at 2300. And I'll see you ride the rest of the way in slop locker.
Maybe. In the meantime, you clear out of my power room. I gotta make me up a third verse for my song.
Yeah, I got it. Power room.
Damp number 2, a point.
Number 2, I...
Hold on, Hertzman. Jimmy Legs, is that force-drive boil up there?
Give me that, Casey. Riesling, I've taken about enough from you.
And I got a little news for you, Skipper. Number 2 jet is bulging like a fat lady in a satin skirt.
Listen, you clown. Damp number 2, a point.
Why, sure. Look out, Hertzman. I'll take it. You watch the gauge. Now.
He's riding easy here.
It's bucking a little.
Riesling,
hit the emergency! All right. She won't get it, but that warp. There go the lights. Duck her! Stop! Riesling! Stay down behind the baffle. I gotta take a look. It's radioactive. Look out! I've gotta fish the hot stuff out of the tube. What's going on down there? Shut up, Jimmy Legs. I'm busy. She's tight now.
What happened?
Number 2 blew, you lunk-headed space rat.
You all right?
A little sunburn. Lights are gone. What's the matter with the emergency circuits?
Riesling,
Jimmy Legs, get some lights down here. It's dark. Get the emergency light on.
But they're on, Riesling. They went on right after the blast. The lights are on.
What are you talking about? Dark. Jimmy Legs! Jimmy Legs, turn on the lights. Turn on the lights.
That blue, radioactive glow from the jets was the last thing Riesling ever saw. His optic nerve was burned out in an instant. He was in sick bay on the rest of the trip, and on the swing back, we set Riesling down at Drywater. I ran into Riesling about 2 months later, playing his guitar on a jetty that ran out into the canal. He had a dirty rag tied over his eyes with a jetman's knot, and his hat was on the wharf beside him. And when he finished, we walked out along the canal.
Yeah, I'm doing right fine. Working saloons mostly. I've been thinking some funny songs, Hertzman. The words come out different than they used to. Come on along the canal with me.
Sure. Here, take my arm.
I know the way. That's another funny thing, Hertzman. I figure I know it better than other folks. Look back there, towards the city. What do you see?
New factory buildings? You could smell them from here.
I still remember them old Martian towers, old before Bible times on Earth. Thin and graceful like the fairy palaces my old grandma used to tell about down home in the hills.
Yeah, they torn them down now, or else blocked them up with cinder blocks.
Hertzman, when I stand out here in the canal, I can see it the way it used to be. The water ice blue with the stars shining up out of it. Way off there, the city with the towers sweeping up like a bird flying off a tree. I can see it.
Now it's the dirtiest stinkhole in the system.
Not to me. Listen, Hertzman.
Won't tire the race that raised the towers Forgotten are their lores. Long gone the gods who shed the tears that lap these crystal shores. Slow beats the time-worn heart of Mars beneath this icy sky. The thin air whispers voicelessly that all who live must die.
Look that up? I can't figure it myself. I never put words together like that before. I reckon it's just I got time now to study the words and shine them up my head till they sing true.
Why don't you go home, Riesling?
Home?
Hurry.
I've been thinking about that, Hertzman. When I was a young'un down in the Ozarks, I used to climb a big old oak tree my daddy had in the dooryard. You could see the hills for miles, green and cool. I've been thinking about that.
Well, why don't you go back then?
Someday, Hertzman, but I couldn't face those hills now. I couldn't stand to see black when I knew they was lying all around me, cool and green in the sun. I couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to town, Hertzman. I made $3.50 marching today, and I'm all set to drink it down before dawn. Come on.
I lost track of Riesling after that. I shipped out in a slow freight with the convict class for Luna, and he hitched a hike to Venusberg in an ore ship in the Tri-Planet run. So he beat around the system, Venusberg to Layport to Drywater to New Shanghai and back. Any spaceport was his home, and no skipper'd refuse to lift the extra mass of Riesling and his guitar. He made up his song sitting out watches down in the power rooms with old shipmates, while the monotonous beat of the jets shook the hull plates.
Hear the jets, hear the jets, hear them snarl at your back when you're stretched on the rack. Hear the jets, feel the pain in your ship, feel the strain in your grip. Hear the jets, feel the rise, feel her drive, straining steel come alive on her jets, on her jets.
Little by little, his songs began to travel along with spaceways ahead of him. Raw spaceman songs. A different kind of song. Strange, sad songs, like the ones you find printed in the Centennial editions. Well, there's one called Dark Star Passing and Death Song of a Weed Coat. And then finally, The Green Hills of Earth. It grew for 20 years, that song. They say it started way back when Riesling was down in the labor camps in Venus singing for the indentured men. When when he hit Venus, he'd always head out to the backwoods to sing for them.
First, if someone will kindly pass a bottle.
Oh, it ain't much, Riesling. Here.
It'll do. Oh, what is that stuff?
Tequila. You can't make him good here on Venus.
What do you use?
Karak bush. It is different.
How'd you come to sign on?
When a man comes out the village from the city, he says there's work. You sign the paper and you work. Work? It's work, all right. 10 stinking hours in the jungle with machete.
How long you signed for?
Well, then I only speak Spanish. I don't know. The paper says 10 years. 10 years?
How long you got to go?
What's the use? We ain't getting home. You know how many men die out there in the swamp today? 10 men. 10. What's the use? My mother, she's dead. My father don't care.
Girl?
Oh, she says she's waits. I don't know. You sing some more, Riesling. We drink and you sing, huh?
Maybe a new song, son.
We rot in the molds of Venus. We retch out of tainted breath.
See.
Foul All our flooded jungles crawling with unclean death. We've tried each spinning space moat and reckoned its true worth. Take us back to the homes of men and the cool green hills of earth. Take us back.
What's the matter? Finish the song, Riesling.
I can't yet. It just don't come. I'll finish it when I go home. That's it. When I go home to the hills. Now, pass that bottle. That dawn whistle don't blow for 4 hours.
That's where the Green Hills started. And I was there when it was finished. It was 20 years after that. And there wasn't a man flying or on the beach that hadn't heard of Riesling in his songs. He was getting old now for a spaceman. He was a familiar figure through the system. Tall, gaunt, with that dirty bandage tied across his blind eyes. I was a chief jetman then on the old Falcon. We were cradled at Venus, Ellis Isle, scheduled for a direct jump to Great Lakes, Illinois, on Earth. I was checking in Dunwich when Riesling felt his way up the gangway and came through the loft. Hey, Riesling!
Who's that?
Mike Hertzman.
Hertzman!
What are you doing in this old hog boat?
Well, I figured I'd ride it back to Earth.
Earth? You going home, Riesling? I thought you were never going to make that run. What changed your mind?
Oh, I've been hankering to set foot in the Ozarks again.
Yeah, how about those hills?
Yeah, I've been singing about them so long now, Hertzman. I got to finish the song. I got to set foot in the dooryard and hear the wind through that oak tree. It's about the last thing I'll be doing. I got to get home before...
Look, Riesling, there's a new company policy in effect now. No more deadhead rides and new code books in force.
Oh, that don't bother me none. I'm riding it back to Earth. I'm going to finish my song. It's got to be there.
Yeah, but the skipper's one of them youngsters fresh out of Harriman Institute cadet training. He'll throw the book at you.
At me? I've been around space as long as Haley's Common, Bruce's Ridge. I'm going back to Earth. The cool green hills of Earth. I'm going home.
Was it cured, Hertzman? Yes, sir. What are you doing here? This is Riesling, Captain.
Riesling, huh?
I'm dragging it back to Earth, Captain.
Not in this ship. Shake a leg and get out of here.
Oh, no, Captain, you wouldn't begrudge an old man a trip home.
I can't do it. Space Precautionary Code Clause 6. Now, come on, clear out.
Well, now, look, Skipper, you can slide me by onto the distressed spaceman's coals in that code book.
Distressed spaceman, my eye. You've been bumming around the system for 30 years.
Oh, Skipper, you're making me do something I never done to no one before. I'm an old man. An old blind man. I want to go home. I never crawled in front of a force drop in my life, but you got to let me drag home. The law says a man's got a trip coming to him, and you can stretch for a poor old blind man. Now, can't you? You got to, Skipper.
All right, you old space rat, but keep out of the way. I run an efficient ship, and I don't want any trouble.
Oh, no, sir. No trouble. I'll just lay down to the power room. I'd kind of like to be near the jets when they blast off for Earth.
Sit down, Riesling. Take a load up.
Hey, thanks, Mac.
Power room, fire 3.
Aye, sir. Now, have you seen these new automatic tampers, Riesling? Don't have to do nothing, just sit and watch.
Yeah, where's the peeper?
Turned off. It's all automatic.
Youngsters have it solved. When I was twisting her tail, you had to stay awake. You got the old hand damping plates on?
All but the links. I unshipped them. They cover up the dials.
You might need them.
Oh, the automatics handle everything. Well, you're finally going home, Riesling, huh? Won't seem the same out past the moon.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this a long time, Mac. It's going to be good to get home. You reckon?
The Arctic sky is calling spacemen back to their trade.
Nick, I got the emergency. The hand dampers. Here's the links. Back up. They ought to be on the wall somewhere here. I got them.
Stay alive. Emergency squad coming in.
Stay out. The place is hot. Radiation blast.
Stay behind the baffle.
I got the links shipped. I can hand damper now.
What's going on in there?
I'm spilling jet freeze.
Is this McDougal?
McDougal's dead. This is Riesling on water.
Riesling? Get out of there. You'll kill yourself.
Don't worry, Skipper. I know this power room like the inside of my shirt. Somebody's got the damper.
Riesling, I'm sending in a crew.
No use. The whole room will be hot for an hour, and the other jets won't hold. Oh, Skipper, throw on a recording tape.
What?
Throw on a recording tape. I got a song to finish, and I got to make it right now. Yeah, I can hear it.
Riesling, the radiation will burn you down.
She's clear now, Skipper. She'll burn out clean.
Riesling, are you all right?
I reckon. Pretty sharp sunburn. You pick me out of here with tongs and bury me in a lead shield coffin. Radiation's getting bright. I can almost see. Bright, rosy like the sun. Like the sun over the hills down home.
We pray for one last landing on the globe that gave us birth. Let us rest our eyes on the fleecy skies of the cool green hills of earth.
That's the way he died. Riesling, the blind singer of the spaceways, singing of the home he never reached, the cool green hills of Earth.
You have just heard X-1, transcribed by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight's story, The Green Hills of Earth, written by Robert Heinlein and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Ken Williams as Riesling, Nelson Olmsted as Hertzman, Matt Crowley as Hicks, Wendell Holmes as Casey, Bill Griffiths as Rodriguez, Bill Lipton as the Skipper, and William Zuckert as McDougal. Original music for Riesling songs was written and sung by Tom Glazer. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production. And now, next week, the strange story of Dr. Grimshawss Sanitorium and of a patient there who suddenly found himself involved in a game of cat and mouse. But the man had actually been reduced to the size of a mouse, while the cat remained full size. What happened then? You'll learn next week.
Convicts tell their true stories on The Loser, tonight over most NBC radio stations.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future. Adventures in which you'll live in a million could be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Dr. Grimshawss Sanitorium. What you will hear in the next half hour represents either a magnificent hoax or the true explanation of the famous Grimshawss Sanitorium scandal which made the headlines back in 1947. The manuscript upon which this account is based was removed by the New York State Police from a fountain pen cover found in the doorway to Dr. Grimshaw's study. We offer this manuscript as evidence only. Whether it is authentic or not, you must judge for yourselves.
My name is John Dougherty. I'm a graduate of Hamilton College, class of 34, a member of Theta Alpha. I'm one of those fools who wanted some excitement in life, so instead of going into my father's shoe business, I became a private detective. These are facts. You can check them if you like. The rest of what I write here is so fantastic that I don't expect it to be believed. If anyone should find this manuscript and read it, all I ask is that you notify Miss Millicent Armbruster of 299 Wallace Avenue, Buffalo, that Johnny Dougherty is dead. On the evening of July 1st, Miss Armbruster and I were driving to a wedding. Not our own, although I wish it had been. It was Sunday, and in order to avoid traffic, I took the Old Mill Road, a single-lane dirt affair that runs past the Gowanda Cemetery.
Johnny, aren't you going too fast?
Not for this road. There isn't a thing around except some tombstones and...
Johnny, the gate to the cemetery.
Well, what about it?
That hearse, look out! Look out!
We skidded for about 20 feet and slammed into the back of the hearse. The two rear doors buckled and snapped open. It was a freak. A huge oak coffin with brass handles tipped up and began slowly to slide back toward us.
Oh, how horrible.
You stay right here, baby. You okay, Mac?
You don't pay much attention to speed limits, do you, Jack?
Now, look, let's not get hung up on who was right and who was wrong. I was going too fast, and you were traveling without lights after dark.
Let's see your driver's license.
Right here.
Oh. Private eye, eh?
Now, if you don't mind, who does this joy wagon belong to?
Gowanda Funeral Service. It's being rented to Grimshaw.
Who?
Grimshaw from the private sanitarium.
Mind if I ask what you were doing after dark coming out of a cemetery with a wooden kimono?
We're moving one of Grimshaw's patients to a new grave.
They always travel like this?
Look, Hawkshaw, how about skipping the third degree and giving me a hand getting this box back in the wagon?
A pleasure. Better screw on that cover again. It's going to slide off.
Let's get it in the hearse first.
Okay, Junior. You get on that end.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, lift.
Just slide it.
Oh, brother, who's in there, King Kong?
Look out for the cover.
I told you that would happen. What's the guy's name, Junior?
Oh, why don't you ask him, Sherlock Holmes?
A real wise guy, huh? I've got half a mind to report this accident.
Yeah, well, go ahead. See where it gets you. Now, if you'll pardon me, I'll deliver the body.
Everything all right, Johnny?
I thought so until a few seconds ago. Listen, Millie, can you sit here in the car for another 5 minutes?
Where are you going?
For a stroll through the cemetery.
Oh, Johnny, stop making jokes.
When we lifted that coffin back on the meat wagon, I got a good look inside it.
Ew.
Yeah, exactly how I felt. I figured we'd knock the stuffing out of the corpse, only I didn't expect the stuffing to be sand.
What?
Yes. That wasn't a body, that was a dummy stuffed with sand, a dummy with a wax face.
Johnny!
Which brings up an interesting question. Who's supposed to be in that box, and, just where is the dead man spending his time? Sometimes in my business, when things drop off, you have to go out and, dig up new clients. My next case was a gentleman named Harlan Ward Sr., a wealthy automobile manufacturer. I'd gotten his name off his son's tombstone.
Are you trying to tell me, Dougherty, that my son Harlan was never buried at Gowanda Cemetery?
Exactly, Mr. Ward.
But why?
Maybe if you'll tell me the circumstances surrounding your son's death, I can help answer that.
My son was a rather impetuous young man. Tall, good-looking. After his graduation from Princeton, he began drinking quite heavily. After he got into a couple of scrapes, we sent him to Dr. Grimshawss Sanitorium in the hopes that he could be cured. While my wife and I were in Europe, we received word that he died, buried at Guana in our absence. Last week, my wife and I decided to have his body removed to the family vault here at Short Hills.
How'd your son die?
Suicide.
You never saw the body?
No. We couldn't get back from Europe in time. Now you tell me that his coffin contains a dummy. How do I know this whole thing isn't a plan to fleece me?
You don't. But you're a rich man, Mr. Ward, and you're perfectly willing to take a chance that I'm on the level and that your son may still be alive.
You sound very sure of yourself, Mr. Dorsey.
My fee is a $2,000 retainer plus expenses.
What sort of expenses?
However much it costs to take the cure at Dr. Grimshaw's Sanitorium. Dr. Grimshaw's Sanitorium was just outside Gowanda. Most of the cases were nervous breakdowns and alcoholics. I committed myself as a dipso, and just to make it convincing, I stopped at 5 or 6 bars on the way over. I was interviewed by Grimshaw himself, a small man with a fringe of white hair.
You understand, Mr. Doherty.
That's not my real name, of course, social reasons.
We understand. Our paid clientele is very select, and our rates are very high.
You will be paid in cash and in advance, Dr. Grimshaw. How long does a cure usually take?
That, of course, depends on the degree of alcoholism. This is my assistant, Dr. Boyner.
How do you do?
How do you do? We are accepting Mr. Doherty as a patient. Better place him in the ward with Mr. K and Mr. Keiki. Mr. K is a long-term patient, Mr. Doherty, a highly intelligent man, formerly a professor of plant pathology. Mr. Keiki suffers mild delusions. I think you'll find him rather amusing.
After about 3 days, my roommates Arthur Kay and Crakey got used to me. And we even began to play three-handed bridge. Kay was a chronic dope addict, an intelligent, sensitive man. Crakey was nothing but a clown. He kept a big black cat named the Professor, which he talked to as if it were human.
And so I said to her, my dear Countess, if you don't like the company of my cat, then you don't like me. She looked at me as if I were insane. But, of course, the joke was on her because I was. Professor? The professor is very sociable. Excellent company.
Except when he kills birds and deposits them in your bed. He's nothing but a feline murderer as far as I'm concerned.
Ah, see? You have insulted him, Mr. K.
Come here, Professor. Let's make friends. How about giving me your paw? Oh!
Scratch me, you black devil.
You insulted him. You hurt his feelings.
Well, just keep him away from me.
It will be a pleasure. I would advise you not to insult him again. Good afternoon and evening.
Is he always as nuts as that?
Ever since I've been here.
What's his problem?
Manic depressive. And a little paranoid, too.
How long have you been here, Arthur?
At Grimshaw's 2 years. I left for a while, but I couldn't stay away from the junk, so I committed myself again.
Did you, happen to know a patient here named Harlan Ward?
Why do you ask that? Did you know him?
I met him socially a few times. I understand he died here.
So the newspapers said. I wouldn't know.
Suicide, wasn't it?
Was it?
You're being pretty careful, aren't you?
Mr. Doherty, what would you say if I were to tell you that I don't believe Harlan Ward is dead?
What makes you so certain?
He used to share this room with us. He slept in the same bed you now use.
I see.
He was an alcoholic, doing quite well, too, from what I could observe. We all expected him to go home soon. Then one evening he had a violent fight with Crakey. Crakey accused him of snooping or something. Later that night, Grimshaw and Boyner took him out.
Where?
Where they take all the special treatment cases to the charity clinic. It's that small building on the other side of the stone wall. A few days later, we read about his death. Suicide, they said.
Just what makes you think he's still alive, Arthur?
This? About a month ago, I was in the garden next to the wall that separates us from the charity clinic. Suddenly, I thought I heard a sound, like a child whimpering. It stopped. And a moment later, this note came over the wall, wrapped around a stone.
What's it say?
Help me, for God's sake, Harlan Ward.
Arthur, how would you like to have some fun?
Like what?
Like sneaking out tonight and going over the wall to the charity ward? What do you say? It would break the monotony a little.
I suppose there's no real harm in it.
Of course not. I'd go alone, but I'll need help scaling the wall. Will you do it?
All right. I'll go with you.
All clear. Give me your hand and I'll lift you. Be careful when you drop. Ready? Go ahead.
There's a charity building over there, the one with the lights in the basement window.
Come on. Let's crawl over. Maybe we can see something. Listen. Can you make out what he's saying?
No, I can barely hear. Good Lord.
What was that?
Probably some patient having the DT.
Let's have a look. Easy, it wouldn't do to get caught now.
See anything?
Some sort of laboratory. I can see Grimshaw and Boyne and something else. But there's a child with its back toward me.
Now take it quietly. It will be easier.
Please, don't.
It will all be over soon. You won't remember anything.
No, I don't want to go.
Why not give it to him?
No.
Shut him up, Boyne.
Good Lord. What was it? What did they do to that child? Father, that wasn't a child. It was a midget. The smallest midget I've ever seen. What were they doing? Trying to give it some sort of injection. When it resisted, Boyne knocked it out.
What do you suppose they were doing to it?
I don't know, Arthur. All I know is that when it fell, it had the face of Harlan Ward. All the way back to our room, my brain was working like some frantic pinball machine. Only the score somehow wouldn't add up. The pieces were there, all right. A crazy old doctor, a brutal assistant, a private sanitarium, and a midget with a dead man's face. I thought that when I got back to our room, I'd have some time to think about it. I'd forgotten about our friend, the happiness boy, Count Crakey.
So, I caught you.
Fine, you've caught us. Now how about crawling back into the woodwork like a good little count?
Where were you?
Mink hunting. Arthur and I like to go mink hunting at night.
You make fun of Count Crakey? I shall report you to Dr. Boyne.
You'd better not if you know it's good for you.
So, you threaten me? Me, Count Crakey? I shall scream for help. Help! Help!
Did you hurt him?
Just knocked him out.
What do we do now?
Put him to bed. Hope that when he wakes up in the morning, he's forgotten the whole thing.
And if he hasn't?
He's too crazy for them to take seriously anyway. Come on, let's get him back into bed. To sleep in my own room. And the next thing I felt was the sharp jab of the hypodermic needle in my left arm.
Hold it. It'll be useless to struggle, Mr. Doherty. In a moment, your motor nerves will be completely paralyzed.
What's this about, Grimshaw?
I might ask the same of you. My good friend Count Crakey informs me you and Mr. Kay decided to do some snooping earlier tonight. He followed you and saw you climb the wall.
Crakey's insane.
Mr. Doherty, that is a matter of opinion.
Crakey, what is this?
Perhaps my assistant, Dr. Grimshaw, would be good enough to explain.
Assistant?
Yes. You see, I am the actual head of the Grimshawss Sanitorium.
Count Crakey feigns many delusions, Mr. Doherty. But in this case, he is telling the truth. Count Crakey is actually Professor Ernst Hassler. Professor Hassler and I worked together in the Berlin Neurological Institute before and during the last war.
Unfortunately, my political affiliations with the Third Reich were under investigation by the War Crimes Commission. However, Dr. Grimshaw managed to smuggle me into this country, where I masqueraded as a mental patient, in order that we might continue certain experiments which were interrupted by the American Army.
I can imagine the sort of experiments you conducted.
You and your friend Mr. Kay will discover their exact nature very shortly, Mr. Doherty. It is a magnificent opportunity to serve science.
next thing I knew, I was coming to in a different room and hearing the voices of Voyna, Grimshaw, and Craigie, as if from a great distance.
Pituitrin.
Pituitrin.
4 cc's.
4 cc.
How are the measurements?
Reducing rapidly.
We'll operate at once. Have Voyna start the anesthesia.
Very well, Doctor. Come back.
When I came to again, I had a blinding headache. I began to wonder if Craigie and Grimshaw weren't doing something to drive me insane, because I lost all sense of perspective. The room seemed to grow in size. I don't know how much time passed, but one day Craigie came into the room with a bundle in his arms about the size of a newborn baby. The bundle was my friend, Arthur Kay. And worse yet, I was exactly the same size that he was.
Let me out of here. Let me out.
Allow me to congratulate you, gentlemen. How are you feeling?
You dirty monster.
I'm disappointed, gentlemen. Do you not feel privileged to be a part of an experiment that will place me at the very top rank of the world's endocrinologists?
What are you doing to us, you madman?
It has long been established, gentlemen, that dwarfism and giantism result from injury to or malfunction of the pituitary and thyroid glands. The interlock between these glands was thought to be a hormone. I have discovered that this was incorrect. It was an enzyme. An enzyme I isolated some years ago. I was well on the way to synthesis in Germany when the surrender interrupted me. The interruption also limited the number and type of subjects on whom I could experiment. I was forced to find others.
Such as Harlan Ward?
Mr. Ward was only a control experiment.
I suppose you planned the same for us.
No, gentlemen. For you, I have reserved a special privilege. You, gentlemen, will be the first to test the full effects of the enzyme. In short, I intend that you, Mr. Kay, and you, Mr. Doherty, when the experiment is completed, will emerge as perfectly healthy, normal individuals. Except, of course, that you will be only 5 inches tall.
The days and nights that followed were a living nightmare. A nightmare from which Arthur and I awoke for brief periods to find ourselves in a strange new world. A huge, frightening world where everything seemed enlarged 100 times. When we finally emerged, we found ourselves imprisoned in a tiny mouse cage. Judging by the relative size of things, we could not have been more than 5 inches tall. Now we realized the experiment was at an end. That from now on, it was either escape or be destroyed.
How's it coming, Arthur? Another moment. I think I'll have this lock worked loose. And if we escape, then what? We'll worry about that after we get out of this mouse cage. Suppose we don't make it. At least you've written the story on that scrap of paper. Someone may find it and read it. Nobody will believe it. Then why did you bother to write it? I don't know. I suppose I want the world to know what happened to me. Help me push the door open. Now what? The first job is getting down to the floor. I think we can make it by sliding down the telephone cord. Are you game? Go ahead. I'm right behind you. Easy now. Look out. That does it. Now, if we can figure out a way to get out of the room, well, that should be... Uh-oh. Listen. Somebody coming. It must be Craigie. We've got to hide. Here. Right in the fireplace. He'll kill us if he finds us.
Well, my friends, time for feeding. I trust that you... So, you have managed to break out. It won't do, you know. There is no way you could have gotten out of the room with the door and window locked. I know you are in here. I would advise you to save yourselves trouble and give up. Very well, my tiny friends. If you prefer to play the game of cat and mouse, then I shall be happy to furnish the cat. There is no way you can get out.
What now? He's gone for the cat. If that monster ever gets in here, we're goners. There must be... Wait a minute. What? You see that thin strand of wire running along the molding? What about it? It's It's the automatic fire alarm. When the alarm is tripped by a fire or short circuit, all the locks are sprung so that the patients can escape from their rooms. If I can short that wire before Craigie lets the cat into the building, let's go. There's a tiny sliver of steel from the cage on the floor. I'll work with that. You keep an ear to the door. Go ahead. This insulation is tough as rawhide. Rascal stuff. Hurry up, Arthur, for God's sake. There it is. Stand away. I'm going to short it. Ready? Okay. We made it. There goes the door. Let's make a run for it down the hall. If we can get to the garden, we've got a chance. I smell smoke. The short may have actually started the fire. Come on. Wait a minute. I have to go back. The manuscript. Be a fool. There's no time. Come on. You go ahead. I'll catch up. Hurry up. I'll wait in the hall. Only a second. I got it. Come on. There's nothing to stop us now. Arthur? Where are you? Sonny? Arthur? Arthur? Arthur, what's happened to you?
This is the record found in a fountain pen cover in the burned-out hallway of Dr. Grimshawss Sanitorium. There's nothing to add, except that the fire which destroyed the sanitarium and killed so many of its occupants, including Dr. Grimshaw and Dr. Voyna, was definitely of incendiary nature. It is believed by the fire chief that some small creature, possibly a mouse, chewed the insulation off the wire and short-circuited the system. The two patients, John Doherty and Arthur Kay, vanished completely after the fire, and their remains were never found. Whether the manuscript which you have just heard is authentic, or whether it was the work of one of the more demented inmates of the sanitarium, we leave to your judgment. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production.
X-1.
Down in the underwater city of Euclidia, the Gregory party finds life rather difficult. It wasn't any too pleasant to think that there was little hope of their rescue. But when they actually hear a radio broadcast with their own man, Johnson, in Los Angeles as the speaker, telling the world of their death, then things do look mighty bad. When the Euclideans started their artificial volcanic eruption and caused the rescue fleet to sail away from the position of the Magic Island, all hope of rescue was gone. Mrs. Gregory and Joan are resting in their comfortable quarters in the underwater city, while Jerry and Captain Bradford have started for the rocket ship laboratories. There the captain is to be allowed to study the construction and operation of these 1,000-mile-an-hour Euclidean planes. Jerry and the captain are standing near the doorway to the scientists' quarters, waiting for their guide.
I know it's all right to talk here. That girl submarine commander said it was. I guess she ought to know.
Okay if you say so, Jerry, but it seems funny to be talking so freely out in this big open room after being so careful in our own quarters.
Well, there's so many funny things in this crazy place that I'm kind of getting used to them.
I'm afraid we'll never really learn to take all this for granted.
No, I guess not. But look here, Captain Bradford. How did it happen that old G-47 said I could go into the laboratory with you?
That surprised me, too, son. Maybe he thought you'd be more likely to stay out of trouble there.
Yeah, well, I won't have much chance to do anything they don't like with a room full of scientists watching me.
And don't try to do anything. You just keep your eyes open and learn all you can about this place. I'll be figuring how to get my instrument case aboard.
Oh, that small case that looks like a lady's overnight case?
Yep, that's just large enough to comfortably hold a pigeon.
And then one of these times you'll leave the instrument out of the case and have the pigeon in it, huh?
Right. But don't get impatient about it, Jerry. It may take weeks or months to get that chance.
Oh, yeah, I know. They'll search that instrument case pretty carefully the first time you take it on board.
Not only the first time, but a good many times. Our hope is that they'll finally get careless about looking at it. And I'll be able to smuggle a homing pigeon aboard a rocket ship for a test run.
And it'll have to be a long test run to get the pigeon near enough to Los Angeles so we'll have a chance to get home.
Yes, I'd like to be within a few hundred miles, or even better than that. And I think that can be arranged. G-47 is planning a series of night flights right over the principal cities of the United States.
But, gee, Tex, he'll get caught at that.
I'm afraid he won't get caught. Those rocket ships are noiseless, or practically so, and they'll run without lights. I think it'll be altogether too easy to sneak up on Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York, and cruise around over them while G-47 studies the cities and maps the important points in each.
Gee, that sounds like they were getting ready for a war.
They are, a very definite war. So this will be the most peaceful, noiseless war the world has ever known.
Well, what do you think they'll do?
Just a few magnetic bombs in the cities. All traffic, transportation, telephone, electricity, everything will stop. And that will make the country just as helpless as if it was desert.
And then the Euclideans land and take over the country, huh?
Looks like that's the idea, Jerry. And not only our country. While that's going on in the United States, the same thing will be happening over Europe, Asia, Australia, Africa, and South America. If these Euclideans can do as they expect to do, and I think they can, 1 hour would be long enough for them to take over the control of the entire world.
Oh, boy. Wouldn't it be swell if we could stop them?
Yes, it would be, and we'll try it. But don't get too hopeful about the outcome.
Oh, I know it looks mighty hard, but we can do it. Mrs. Gregory's feeling pretty bad about things now, and, well, Joan's scared of these crazy Euclideans. But we'll do it some way.
I think so, too, son, but we've got a long way to go.
Quiet. Here comes one of the Euclideans.
Which one?
Well, I can't see yet. It's too dark back under that balcony.
Well, I suppose we'll be taken to the laboratory now.
Well, I hope so. Oh, boy. It's our friend, the girl submarine commander.
So it is.
That means we get a break.
I would not advise you to break anything.
How do you do, Commander?
Oh, I didn't mean to break anything. I meant that you'd give us a good break.
Your expressions mean little to me, Hall, and I am of the opinion they mean little at all times.
Oh, is that so?
Never mind, Jerry. Well, Commander, what are the orders?
You, Captain Bradford, and you, Hall, will accompany me to the transportation laboratory.
Oh, boy. And will we get a ride in a rocket ship?
I have been instructed to make a test flight with you two as passengers.
Well, we're ready.
We will go at once.
Oh, Jerry! Jerry!
Hey, there's Joan over there.
You will have no time to speak with her.
Wait a moment, Jerry. I am going with you.
You are not.
Sorry, Joan, but this is a business trip. The Commander has orders for only Jerry and myself.
Hey, Commander, couldn't you let Joan come along with us?
Silence, Hall. You will return to your quarters, Cleostra.
But I...
Best to do as she says, Joan, and I think you should stay with your mother anyhow.
But Mother is resting. I am of no value to her, and I do so want to see the laboratories with you.
Cleostra, if you continue, I will order your arrest and confinement.
Golly whiskers, Joan. What's the matter with you?
There is nothing the matter with me.
Well, there must be. You ought to know these Euclideans well enough to know they mean business and not keep on arguing with the Commander.
You are being unusually sensible, Hall.
Jerry's right, Joan. You can't help us any, and I'd feel more comfortable if you stayed with Pat.
Very well, Captain. I will return to Mother and remain in our quarters.
Cleostra is acting in a very peculiar manner.
Well, maybe she's afraid of something.
No, I guess she just worried about everything and thought she'd like to go with us.
Enough of this useless speculation as to what Cleostra might think. Come, we will enter the laboratories. As we enter, you will preserve silence unless directly addressed by one of the scientists.
We won't say anything.
I will open the panel.
Oh, boy. What a room.
Silence. You will follow me. The larger ships ranged along this side of the chamber are submarines. On that side are the rocket ships. One moment while I observe our surroundings. Yes, we are alone in this section. You may speak.
It's about time. I was going to bust if I couldn't say something pretty soon.
I don't blame you, Jerry. This is quite a sight.
There are 25 submarines and 50 rocket ships.
Oh, boy, 75 of these things. And they don't half fill this room. Whoever dug these caves sure had plenty of time.
These caves are natural, except for the improvements installed by the Euclideans.
Well, Jerry knows that. Commander?
Yes?
Mind if I ask some questions?
Proceed.
And when you get done, I'll ask some.
Silence, Hall. Proceed, Captain Bradford.
Well, we're familiar with the submarines, as you know.
As all Euclidia knows, only too well.
Yeah, we sure put one over on all of you when we swiped that other sub.
Never mind that now, Jerry. We're here to learn all we can about this place.
G-47 has informed us that you will aid him in certain tests with the rocket ships.
So he said, but I thought he meant rocket planes, not submarines.
These rocket ships are both air and water vessels.
Huh? These little submarines fly?
Precisely.
But, Commander, there isn't anything about them that looks like a flying machine.
They are not airplanes in the ordinary sense of the word. They are rocket planes propelled by a continuous stream of compressed gas bombs until they reach the static zenith, at which time they derive their power from the natural electrical impulses in the rarefied atmosphere?
She's talking to you now, Captain. I can't understand any of it.
I'm not much better off, son, but perhaps the commander will explain.
The explanation will be made by one more proficient in the higher reaches of science. Cheops, the master builder of Euclidia, will explain the construction of the rocket plane.
Hey, how soon do we see Cheops?
You may have that honor now.
Well, how do you do?
You will not be needed further, Commander.
Very well. I will be in my quarters if you need me.
How soon do we see the rocket ships, Mr. Cheops?
The term Mr. is superfluous. I am referred to as Cheops, master builder of Euclidia.
Yeah, I know. Your grandfather built the pyramids or something.
Never mind that now, Jerry.
Sorry.
I should like to inspect the rocket planes as soon as possible.
We will inspect one at this time. G-47 has ordered that you be given a complete explanation as to the mechanical principles involved.
Yes, the electrical principles also, if you don't mind. I can visualize the possibilities of the compressed gas in the form of rocket power, but the use of atmospheric electrical energy is something I'm not at all clear on.
That explanation must come from Thales. He will join us later and explain the electrical devices. It is my task to acquaint you with the physical features of this rocket ship. Before we enter, you will observe the fins set into the sides of the ship.
I was noticing those things. What good are they?
They are, to use your worldly description of them, simply wings.
Wings?
Those things are wings folded back into the body of this submarine?
Precisely.
And this machine actually flies?
This rocket ship will consistently maintain a speed of 1,000 miles per hour and has a cruising range, when fully fueled, of 10,000 miles.
10,000 miles? Golly whiskers. Enough to fly all over the United States and back here again.
Just what I was thinking, Jerry.
And possibly what the designer had in mind.
Yes, quite possibly. The ship works as a submarine with its wings folded and an airship with them extended.
Precisely.
Well, we're over 400 feet below the surface of the ocean. I'd think that thing would have to be made mighty heavy, or it wouldn't stand the water pressure long enough to get it under the surface.
Yes, I wondered about that too, Jerry.
You are quite observant, Hall. In fact, that matter of pressure is something we have not been able to overcome. And the weight of such a ship, even a ship made of the finest Euclidean metals, would prove too great for the best results in the air. Therefore, these ships are carried in floating pressure chambers to within 5 fathoms of the surface and there released.
And then at the end of a flight, they are landed on the water and returned to the lock.
Precisely. We will now enter the rocket ship. If you don't mind, I will proceed, making the necessary explanations as we go.
Oh, boy. This is sure some rocket ship. Gee, the whole inside of the thing is full of gadgets.
Plenty of instruments, all right, Jerry, and everything's made of copper, isn't it?
The entire structure is tempered copper, amalgamated with aluminum. These various controls you see are used in navigation, the action closely paralleling that of a submarine.
You fly this thing just like you sail it on the water or under the water?
Precisely, and at a speed of 1,000 miles an hour. The displacement approaches that of a boat of similar weight in water.
How soon am I allowed to take a trip in one of these things?
Your first flight is scheduled to begin with the appearance of Thales. We will accompany you.
Gee, Tex, 10,000 miles we can go. Let's fly over Los Angeles.
I'm afraid that wouldn't be allowed, Jerry.
You are quite sure it would not be allowed, Captain Bradford. The ship has a cruising range of 10,000 miles, but you will find that it is fueled for a 500-mile run and no more. If you attempt to escape, you would leave us only one course. The escaping ship would be overtaken and destroyed. And it seems hardly likely that you would have time to leave the ship.
You sure must want us here.
At least we do not want you elsewhere.
Captain Bradford and Jerry Hall are about to begin the test flight, which they hope will lay the foundation for their ultimate escape. Then, following the escape, Captain Bradford's formula will be used to gain possession of the Magic Island and force the Euclideans to give up their mad scheme of world terrorism. Down in the strange underwater city of Euclidia, 400 feet below the surface of the ocean, Jerry and the captain are standing in the immense rocket ship chamber, examining one of the 1,000-mile-an-hour planes, which is also a submarine. Cheops, the master builder of Euclidia, explains something of the weird plane's action as they wait for Thales, the Euclidean electrical expert. Thales will accompany them on their first ride in the rocket ship.
I sure wish that fellow Thales would hurry up and get here. I'd like to take a ride in this thing.
Are you going along, Cheops?
Naturally. As the master builder of Euclidia, my place is with this rocket plane while it is being tested. Thales is responsible for the electrical impulses used. G47 for the mechanics of the whole. And mine is the responsibility for the construction of the plane.
Well, the captain's going to try and find out what's wrong with these things.
Well, not exactly that, Jerry. G47 merely asked me to make some test runs in these ships and see if I could discover any weakness in them.
All of which is most ridiculous. If the Euclideans can find no flaw in their work, how can you, a mere engineer in your world, hope to discover what we of Euclidia's great scientific fountainhead have overlooked?
Oh, you think Tex isn't as smart as you are, huh?
Steady, Jerry.
Have no fear, Captain. Nothing this prattling young fool could say would make me angry. It merely annoys me.
Okay, I'll keep still.
Might be just as well.
All right, I won't say anything more about it. But I can go right on thinking the captain's smarter than you are.
You will confine yourself to thinking at once. Is the rocket plane prepared?
How do you do, Thales?
The plane is prepared for 500 miles. 1/2 hour of flying.
So, G47 puts little trust in our dear captain?
Obviously. The orders are to remain within 100 miles of Euclidia, conducting our experiments while circling at altitudes not to exceed 50,000 feet.
Excellent. That will make it rather difficult for you to attempt any trickery, Captain.
Decidedly so. We're not to exceed 50,000 feet in altitude.
Correct.
But we could exceed that. These planes will fly at altitudes greater than 50,000 feet.
Naturally. These rocket planes cannot attain their maximum speed until they reach the rarefied atmosphere above 50,000 feet.
Golly whiskers.
What did you say?
Oh, nothing.
That is probably true.
Well, gentlemen, if you've amused yourselves sufficiently at our expense, I suggest we get along with this cruise.
Agreed. Thales, will you enter your compartment?
I will. Bradford and Hall will sit behind me in the gas chamber. You, Cheops, will occupy the stern section.
I want to see everything that goes on. Can I watch it all from here?
Easily.
Though these interiors give the impression of considerable size, most of that is used for fuel storage and instruments.
Well, I'd say there was a big weakness there. You can't carry much of a payload in one of these things.
That is indeed worthy of consideration. But perhaps you forget the cruising radius?
Yeah. You don't have to carry very much when you can travel 1,000 miles an hour for 10,000 miles.
That's true enough, son. Well, are we all set?
I am ready.
Ready here.
You may all relax in your compartments. There is no appreciable sensation involved.
What's going on now?
We are now moving down an incline into the lock.
Must be plenty of pressure on that lock at this depth.
As we enter the lock, it will be closed about us and raised to within 5 fathoms of the surface. At that point, the pressures within the lock and without will be equalized, and our rocket plane will slip out into the water.
The rocket plane acts as well as a submarine as it does as an airship?
Yes, though at moderate speeds.
Something slow, like 50 or 75 miles an hour underwater, huh?
Precisely.
That's plenty fast for us.
The lock is now being filled with water. In a few seconds, we will be on our way to the surface.
Is it all right if I ask a question?
Anything within reason will be answered.
Well, this is a mighty good question, I think. How does this lock get up to the surface with us?
You just beat me to it, Jerry. I was going to ask that.
The process is quite obvious. The lock is now full. The walls of this lock are air chambers. These will carry us to the desired depth.
But how does it work after we get up there?
I will open this visibility slide. You may then see the operator in the lock.
Gee, look, Tex. There's a fellow in the corner of the lock with a lot of instruments and gadgets around him. Yep, we're going up.
I suppose it's all very simple to you, but I don't understand half I see around here. How does the lock get back down here again after we leave it?
That is very simple, Captain Bradford. The air chambers are flooded, and the lock sinks slowly.
How do you control the return to the landing ramp we've just left?
The giant Euclidean magnets will pull the lock back into position, and these locks may be used at any of the ramps, as their only contact with the ramp is electrical.
Boy, this is sure something, isn't it, Tex?
It sure is, Jerry. What would the folks back home think of this one?
We will now leave the lock. In a few seconds, we will proceed under our own power.
Well, let's not waste much time using this thing as a submarine. I want to see how it works as an airship.
I'm a little impatient for that myself, kid.
We are now free of the lock.
Gee, can we go up to the surface now?
One moment. It is necessary to observe the surface of the water for a considerable distance.
Might be a good idea to make sure no one is watching us at that.
I am now using the prism reflectors. The surface is clear of all shipping within a radius of 100 miles.
You can see 100 miles in all directions with that thing?
Naturally not.
Then how does it work?
On the principle of the electric eye, this instrument transmits a constant beam in all directions. It has an effective range of 100 miles. If the beam is not interrupted, there is no magnetic or metallic body within that range.
Hey, but how about Euclidia? We're not more than a few hundred feet from that place, and it's got magnets all over it.
This beam is refracted along the surface of the water only. We would receive no impulses from a depth of more than 3 fathoms.
How about a submarine?
The speed of submarines from your world is so ridiculously low, and their clumsy shape so easily identified, that the main control room on Euclidia would have notified us when such a vessel was within 200 miles.
Are you prepared to rise to the surface?
I am prepared.
Proceed.
Gee, now what's happened?
We are now lying on the surface of the water.
Did you close that visibility slide? I can't see a thing.
Did you think we would burst out of the water for a chance observer to see?
I thought you said we were safe.
Nothing is left to chance on Euclidia.
Well, I still can't figure it out. What has the fact that I can't see anything got to do with our safety?
We are surrounded by a ring of magnetic fog.
This plane has created its own fog ring instantly?
Precisely.
I'll say it was precisely.
Are you ready for the air fins?
Ready.
Are the wings going out now?
They are. You will be able to see them once we are in the air, and there is no further need of the fog ring.
The fins are in place.
Very well. I will dissolve the fog ring.
Gee, Tex, look, the fog's gone.
Yes, Jerry. It didn't take long.
We are ready for a test flight. I will make such explanations as may be required. Thales, you will navigate.
Right. We rise.
Oh, boy! We're flying.
What's our speed, Cheops?
We are flying at the rate of 500 miles an hour and gaining altitude at the rate of 4,000 feet per minute.
4,000 feet of climb a minute, and we can't even feel it.
Well, these chairs of ours are on universal joints, just like they were in the regular submarines.
Precisely. Now, if you will watch this instrument panel before me, you will note our progress as I increase our speed to 800 miles an hour and our rate of climb to 10,000 feet per minute.
10,000 feet a minute?
Observe the instruments.
But, hey, 10,000 feet a minute. That's pretty near straight up.
It might be, Jerry, if our forward speed wasn't so terrific.
Precisely. We progress forward 702,000 feet while climbing only 10,000 feet in 60 seconds. Therefore, our actual rate of climb is something less than 15 degrees.
Yes, it all sounds very simple when you figure it like that. But what I can't understand is how this compressed gas you use for fuel will drive this huge metal contrivance upward at 15 degrees and forward at 800 miles an hour and do it all noiselessly.
The gas is very simple. You are quite aware that hydrogen is inflammable and therefore, under proper conditions, also explosive.
Sure, we know that.
We merely admit the air through tubes in the nose of the plane. This is properly mixed with a free agent which I must decline to reveal to you. And as the gas is released through tubes in the stern, it mixes with natural hydrogen in the air, causing a series of explosions.
But golly, we can't hear these explosions.
Well, I'm not enough of a lightning calculator to have it all figured out in my head. But it seems to me that we must be traveling at approximately the speed of sound.
You mean we're going as fast as sound travels?
The captain is correct. Our speed is almost identical with the speed of sound at this temperature and this altitude. However, even if we could remain stationary during the discharge of the gas, you would not be conscious of it, as the explosions are continuous and do not disturb the air within this plane.
Boy, this is sure some airship.
More than that, Jerry. We're taking a trip we can remember for a long time.
Silence.
What's the matter?
Silence. There is a disturbance on the radiograph.
I will establish communications with Euclidia. Straighter plane, X1, reporting. Straighter plane, X1, to Euclidia. There is a disturbance on our radiograph. Instructions. Waiting for instructions.
What's this liable to mean?
It might mean a number of things, though in all probability, our course has been crossed by another Euclidean craft.
The beam to Euclidia is clear?
Precisely. That course signal is steady, but this instrument continues to register disturbance. That can mean but one thing. There is another flying machine of some type on our course, and at greater altitude. We will remain at this course, come what may.
Generally speaking, what a fellow means when he says it was a fair fight. Turns out to be, I won the way I expected to. Avak was in a position that they weren't supposed to win. They were going to have to use an unexpected method. Of course, that would be called unfair, wouldn't it?
Right over here, Captain Bratton. Just take a seat, and I'll be with you in a moment.
Oh, thanks.
Nothing special the Immigration Department wants to see me about, is there? I mean, if it's those little fungoid life forms you're worried about. No, Captain, it's not fungoid life forms. Let's see. Your ship just arrived here at Terra an hour ago. Yes, we docked at LaGuardia Field at 4 p.m. In fact, I haven't even had time. Has your crew left the ship yet? No, sir. After all, I am conscious of the great responsibility we intersystem cargo carriers have regarding the importation of non-terrestrial toxins and microbodies and unicellular life. Captain, I'm not a bacteriologist. My name's Jesse. I'm a psychologist. I see, sir. Just what do you see? You're making a check to see if I'm space-worthy, not neurotic or cracking up under the stress. And you jot down notes, and just from little slips a man makes because he's tired and needs a rest and a shower and a couple of beers at a high-class bar and maybe a few days of quiet in the country, away from always worrying about a meteor breaking through the hull. I admit I am somewhat knocked out. Who wouldn't be? I brought this cargo in from Deneb. We've been out there between systems, the long haul, for 13 months. Now, we got nothing to apologize for. You let me rest up. How about trying that instead of badgering us with psychological questions? I'm sorry, Captain. Now, let's see. You visited the 6th planet to the Deneb system. Avak or something like that? Avak. Did you and your crew enjoy your stay there? Well, they treated us okay. We were 3 weeks loading. During that time, we mostly just strolled around taking things easy. Wasn't much to see. Mostly just small towns, factories. They make ceramic household goods. That was our cargo, in fact. That's a darn small planet they've got there, sir, and overcrowded. Every half mile there's a factory going like crazy, and the air's so full of smoke from the stacks you can hardly breathe. Sir, they've got almost no raw materials. But out of what they have, plus the synthetics they've developed, they're able to turn out so much pottery that you'll find it everywhere in the galaxy. It's amazing. Every system you visit, you see vases, salt shakers, flower pots. They're all marked, made at Avak. Just think what they could do if they had a sufficient supply of raw materials. Makes you wonder. Yes, it does make you wonder. They fought a little war back about 10 years with the other planets of their system. Beat them, too. But it didn't do them any good. The other planets were just as depleted. Captain, I want you to examine something. Oh, yes, sir. That's an Avakian space mine. Seeks out the target by beaming in on the target's heat. They used that in a couple of 3 wars. Awful thing. Look at that boring snout. Mm-hmm. I'm told it cuts its way through the hull of a ship to the wall of a building until it actually gets to a living creature. Then? Yes, sir. It's a vicious weapon. The troops called them leeches. But that was 10 years ago, sir. Now they're a commercial planet. They threw out the military leaders and voted in a business administration. They're all for trade and culture exchange now. They learned their lesson.
Did they? Captain, while you were on Avak, did you buy and bring back here with you any toys for your children?
Just as a fair fight hasn't been well defined, neither is the concept toy. Take a portable typewriter, for instance. Is this a toy for a child? Or is it the working tool of a newspaper reporter? It isn't really what the thing is, but how you think about it, what you intend to do with it. What is a toy? A toy for children.
While you were on Avak, did you buy and bring back here with you any toys for your children?
Well, as a matter of fact...
I'd like to see what toys you bought on Avak. Let's have a look.
Well, they're back on the ship in my cabin.
Captain, I'd like you to glance at this particular toy. It showed up a month or so ago. Possibly you saw something like it in the store on Avak.
It looks like an ordinary set of model soldiers to me. British Grenadiers, I guess. Very authentic, too. Gosh, look at the detail on the uniforms.
Yes, it's amazing. You'd think they were real. Genuine British soldiers of centuries ago, standing 3 inches high. And their cannons. You'd almost expect those cannons to fire, wouldn't you?
Fine workmanship.
Well, Captain, the cannons do fire.
No kidding.
I'll show you. I'm using now what is called a ramrod. Ramming the powder and shot in. And just a second. Now it's ready.
They must use watchmaker's tools, microscopic precision.
I'll fire it out the window. Ready?
Ready.
Yes, guards, will you begin clearing the debris? I'm sorry, I meant it to explode entirely outside the building. Must have caught a corner of the window.
This is terrible.
Now, to the soldiers. They're dead, of course. Dead? Well, let's say inert. We destroyed their neural systems with high voltage.
What?
We simply took the cartons of soldiers and put a charge through them. They're fragile. It's hard, even for a people uniquely talented in microscopic assembly, to produce a workable robot only 3 inches high.
I see. Of course, robots.
Here, look at this.
Why, I'd say this is, but it looks like a little toy telephone set. Gosh, we had those when I was a kid. Talk to the kid across the street, transmit for a block or more.
Talk into it. Here, I'll get out the mate and answer you. In fact, I'll go stand over here, away from you with it. Okay, Captain, can you hear me?
I hear you, sir.
Say something foul.
Sir?
You're a spaceman. Think of the foulest oath you can remember. Say it into the phone.
Okay, sir. You know, sir, it's the darndest thing. I guess I must be nervous. I can't.
Try.
I can't, sir. I can't think of anything foul.
All right. That's what I wanted to show you, Captain. The phone acts to inhibit the speech center of persons near it. Sort of damper. Actually, the technique was known to us. We used it during World War III, during brain-cleansing therapy. You know, obliterating hostilities from the minds of enemy prisoners.
Sure.
But to incorporate it into a child's toy. You see, Captain, a child exposed to this mechanism over a long period of time would develop a docility, a passivity, an inability to feel angry or aggressive. In other words...
Brain cleansed.
Now look at this.
What seems to be... Yes, it's one of those question and answer games. You get a buzz if you guess the right answer.
I'll fit a question sheet over the terminal. With this toy, the child develops a rudimentary knowledge of natural facts on a variety of topics. Now, let's see. This top sheet consists of questions on growing plants and flowers.
Well, let's try something different.
All right. How about great composers?
No, I think I'd like to try this sheet titled The Human Body. I used to know something about that. I took a college correspondence course in biology during a long trip out.
Very well. I'll plug in question 3. The digestive system breaks down protein foods into what simple molecule?
Amino acids. Answer number 9. Plug the answer wire onto the number 9 terminal.
I agree. Amino acids is right.
Oh, what's the matter then? It works normally.
Now try it the way we started. Question 3 with answer 9. You won't get a buzz this time.
Well, but we did get a buzz, and it's right.
Yes, we got a buzz before, but we won't get one now. See, Captain, there's a circuit in this thing that randomizes the buzz. The child using this so-called educational toy will get correct answers to start with. Then the randomization sets in, and before he is sure enough of his own knowledge to contradict it, his meager fund of accurate facts will be gradually distorted, not wiped out, but altered more and more, until he is confused.
But why?
So he'll be convinced that there is no such thing as a correct answer. And now I'd like to see the toys you brought back with you. Let's go to your ship and have a look at them.
The man who won the last war always wants his methods of fighting a war to be the ultimate weapons, because he wins with those. And what is the real ultimate weapon? A weapon that no other weapon can touch. How about the weapon of changing your enemy into a friend, or changing your enemy so he doesn't even try to defeat you? Wouldn't that be a more powerful weapon than any possible attacking device?
This is my younger kid, Charles. He's 9.
What is it?
Well, can't you tell?
Looks like a costume.
Yeah, I'll spread it out.
What kind of a costume is it? I don't see any identifying features. Looks more like a sack. A gray sack.
I shopped around Avak for days before I ran across this. Yeah, I'll put it on. Yeah, right sleeve. And left. Yeah.
Explain it, Captain.
But can't you see?
No, you're simply inside a gray sack. That's all I can see.
I'm a cowboy.
What?
This is a cowboy suit. More than that. Of course, it takes a few minutes.
Good Lord. It's changing color.
So am I. Changing me into a cowboy. Darn it, I said I was a cowboy, and I am. Now, I don't mean I'm just pretending to be a cowboy. I mean as long as I'm wearing this material around me, I actually become a cowboy. Notice I've got chaps on my legs? I put this on a couple of times on the trip back, me and the crew both. Really got a kick out of it. Looky here. I got me a 6-gun.
Where did that gun come from?
Grew out of the suit.
And your head's expanding and turning black.
Nah. That's my 10-gallon black felt hat.
Incredible.
Put 'em up, partner.
Why, your skin looks like leather.
Is that your idea of a humorous remark, partner?
Take it off. Take what off? That material before it's too late. Take it off before you're so far down in that fantasy world you can't get back. Like they intended it. Take it off.
Just when I was beginning to enjoy myself. You know, friend, when I was just a little tyke, I used to pine to be back in the good old days and ride the reins. Back when you could smell the sagebrush growing out in the free country where... What was I saying?
Why, a cowboy.
Why, I always wanted to be a cowboy.
Would it be the same for me, I wonder?
Oh, no,
I put it on?
It's whatever your fantasy is. Now, Charles probably will use it to become a 20th century businessman. Gray flannel suit, Ivy League. He reads all those old adventures about New York before it was destroyed. Those advertising operas.
Give me that material. I'm impounding it.
But why? What's wrong? It just helps a kid act out perfectly normal childhood fantasies. Charles plays advertising exec all day long. With this, he can...
A child couldn't possibly hold out against it. It almost got you, and you're a grown man. Do you want to lose your child? Is that what you want? Do you want to see him disappear down into a fantasy world and never return? Let's see what else you brought back.
Yeah. Only one more toy. Actually, it's a game for my older boy, Pete. He's 12.
Open it up.
Yeah. It's called Enterprise. I figure all the kids in the block can play. It's a lot of fun. A bunch of us played it on the trip back.
Can 2 play?
Mm-hmm. 2 players up to 8.
Very well, let's play.
Each player buys shares with money borrowed from the other players. Now, at any time, a creditor can demand payment either in shares or in money. But as soon as a player ceases to extend credit,
he must show what shares he holds. He has to show which groups he's been able to get control of. From then on, he has to bid out in the open, with everyone else knowing what he's got shares in. I bid 3,000 solar units for 2 shares of Neptune Non-Ferric Ores Incorporated. Make it 4,000 and the shares are yours. 4,000. Sold. Okay. Now, you owe me 600,000 solar units, and I owe you 355,000 solar units. I demand payment of the difference. I see. I don't have 245,000 units worth of stock. Yes, you do. If you turn in your Martian Diamond Mines Limited. Oh, but that's my best bluff. That corners you from the inner planets. Put it in or call the game over. All right, it's in. Game's over. But why? I have enough solar units left to buy all your remaining stock. So in terms of profit and loss, you're wiped out. Yes, I guess you're right. Very well, you wind up with 3 expensive groups. And I don't have any. Well, do you see anything harmful in this game? All I can see myself is that it teaches a child the basic facts of economic life, and that's something every child should know. No, I have to admit I find nothing subversive in this game. In fact, it's nothing but a variant of an old Terran parlor game called Monopoly. Yes, you can retain this toy, Captain. It meets with immigration specifications. Well, that's a relief. Sorry to have caused you so much trouble. I'll go and interview your crew and see what children's artifacts they brought back. You can go to your hotel now. Can you find your way around the ship? Oh, yes, I'm used to it. I'll see you again, and next time you're down. All right. Hope your children enjoy playing Enterprise. Matter of fact, I enjoyed it myself. Might have you bring in a set for me next time. Sure. Anything to accommodate the immigration department. Well, I better get all the pieces back in the box before they get lost. Heck, in that game, Monopoly, the player who wound up with the most money and property won the game. And in Enterprise, the winner is the one who's wiped out. Hey, I'll bet he didn't realize he beat me. But he didn't have a solar unit or a share of stock left. He won by a clean sweep.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can leap tall buildings at a single bound, race a speeding bullet to its target, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights the never-ending battle for truth and justice.
And now to our story. Things have taken a serious turn at the Bartlett logging camp deep in the North Woods, where Clark Kent and young Jimmy Olsen are involved in a baffling mystery. Not only have 4 lumberjacks met death at unknown hands, but the legend of the White Plague, said to be responsible for the deaths, now seems to be seeking vengeance from Kent and Jimmy. When we last saw them, they were driving a horse-drawn sled back to the camp. A sled carrying the lifeless body of a lumberjack who had suddenly and mysteriously collapsed. Without warning, a rifle began blazing at them from the woods adjoining the trail. Shouting to Jimmy to keep low, Kent sent the horse into a gallop as steel-jacketed bullets whined about his head.
Stay down, Jimmy. Whoever's handling that rifle means business. Get up, boy.
Be careful, Mr. Kent. You get hit.
Don't worry about me.
Stop shooting.
Yeah, but keep low until we get around this bend. Okay, I guess we can pull up. Whoa, boy. Whoa there. Whoa.
That's a close call. Who do you think it was, Mr. Kent?
I don't know, Jimmy. But if they think we're going to take this lying down, they're crazy. They can believe that the White Plague kills off people mysteriously if they want to, but the White Plague doesn't shoot a high-powered rifle.
You know, I'd almost swear that a couple of those bullets bounced off your back.
Oh, now look here, Jimmy.
Well, I admit it's impossible, but that's how it seemed. Every time there was a shot, I heard the bullet whiz by. Every time except twice. Then there was a little thump, and he sort of stiffened up and... Oh, forget it. I'm just nuts.
I'm beginning to think so.
Well, what do we do now? No sense sitting here. We might just as well go on to the camp.
I'd like to sneak back and see if I can find some trace of whoever was shooting at us.
Well, let him have another shot at you? I know you've got a lot of courage and all that, but good grief, you're not Superman.
Oh, no? No, of course not. Well, let's head for the camp, but don't mention this shooting incident to anyone, Jimmy.
And not even to Mr. Harmon?
Not even to Mr. Harmon. He has plenty to worry about as it is. Let's keep it quiet for a while.
Okay.
Get up, boy. Come on. Get up. Oh, that fire sure feels good after spending most of the day watching your men chop trees, Mr. Harmon.
Yes, I suppose it does. Kent, I'm at the end of my rope. This last thing, Sam Green's death, is all I can stand. I'm riding into town tonight to wire Mr. Bartlett that I'm closing up.
You can't do that, Mr. Harmon. That's quitting in the face of a little trouble.
You call this a little trouble? 4 men dead under strange circumstances and every human being in the camp in deadly fear that he'll be next? You call that a little trouble?
Well, I admit it's puzzling, but there must be a solution. This nonsense about the white plague seeking vengeance on your men because they've been cutting trees with snow-covered roots is so much childish superstition.
Yes, I know. But you can't convince the men of that. Some of them are getting ready to leave now.
What does Dawson say?
What can he say? Bill doesn't believe it any more than you or I do, but he's helpless. Matter of fact, you and young Jimmy have no right staying here. What if something happened to either one of you?
Well, nothing's going to happen to us. By the way, where is Jimmy?
Why, Nancy took him out back to show him the baby raccoon she penned up.
Oh.
Come in. Oh, it's you, Olaf.
Yeah, I bring back rifle, Mr. Harmon.
All right, just set it in the corner with the others, Olaf.
Thank you.
And if you see Mr. Dawson, Olaf, ask him to step in.
Yeah, Mr. Harmon, I will.
Was he one of the felling crew Dawson had out this morning, Mr. Harmon? The crew Sam Green was with?
Yes.
Where did he get the rifle?
Why, each crew takes one along in case of wolves or bears.
And that rifle went along with Dawson's crew?
Now, I'm sorry, Kent, but frankly, I'm in no state of mind to answer unimportant questions. What difference does it make what rifle went with what crew? Haven't we more important things to think about?
I wonder.
Where are you going, Kent?
Which of these rifles did that Swede just return?
Well, the one on the right.
This one?
Yes.
Here. Smell this barrel. Burnt powder. This rifle's been shot recently.
Well, what of it? Is there any law against firing a rifle?
Well, yes, if you fire it at human beings.
What are you talking about, Kent?
Well, I hadn't intended telling you this for fear of worrying you further, but someone tried to kill Jimmy and myself today, Mr. Harmon.
What? Kent, you don't mean that.
I'm afraid I do. When we were driving the sled back to camp, someone fired at us from the woods with a rifle. This rifle.
Someone fired at you?
Yes, quite a number of shots.
But why, Kent?
Well, that's not important at the moment. What is important is that this rifle was used to fire the shots.
You can't be sure of that. We have 4 rifles in camp, all of them the same make. They may have all been fired today. At wolves.
Well, we can find out, can't we? The crew Jimmy and I were with had no reason for using a rifle. That is, up to the time we left. Suppose you call that Swedish logger back. He should know whether the rifle was used.
It's a good idea, Kent. I'll put my Mackinaw on and get him. This is simply terrible. I'll be right back.
I wonder whether the person who used this rifle was smart enough to reload it. Well, only one way to find out. There's a brand new, full 5-shot clip in here. He was smart enough. But he didn't bother to clean the barrel, and that's what may hang all this on him. Well, you didn't waste any time, Mr. Harmon.
There isn't any to waste. Olaf, this is Mr. Kent.
I've been glad to meet you, Mr. Kent.
How do you do, Olaf?
That's the rifle you just returned, isn't it, Olaf? The one Mr. Kent is holding?
Yeah, I think so.
It's the one you brought back a few minutes ago and placed in the corner?
Yeah.
Was that rifle used today, Olaf?
You mean was shot, Mr. Harmon?
Yes, I mean shot.
Oh, no, that's rifle she no was shot today. No.
Are you sure, Olaf?
Ben sure, used like Ben sure. My name Olaf Johnson.
Nobody shot this rifle?
Yeah.
You mean somebody did shoot it?
Oh, no, you got me twisted, Mr. Harmon.
Kent, you'd better take over. I can't even think straight.
Olaf, you say the rifle wasn't shot all day, is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you know it wasn't shot? Where was it?
Leaning on stump. Ben see it 20 times, maybe.
I understand. You saw the rifle leaning against the stump. All right, but someone might have picked it up and shot it.
No.
Did you hear any rifle shots this afternoon?
Yeah.
Oh, but you're sure they didn't come from this gun?
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Harmon, either he's lying or he's mistaken.
Olaf never lie. What you mean when you say that?
Now, take it easy, Olaf. Mr. Kent didn't say that you lied.
Yeah, I've been here. He may know was deaf. I punch him in his nose.
I'm sorry, Olaf. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
I hurt your face with punching nose if you say Olaf tell lie.
All right, Olaf, all right. You can go now.
And Olaf say rifle no shot. Rifle no shot. Ain't no tell lie.
Well, I always knew Swedes were sensitive, but not that sensitive.
Well, now what, Kent? Looks like we're up against a blank wall again.
While you were getting Olaf, I examined the rifle, Mr. Harmon. Whoever used it took the precaution of reloading it with a new clip of cartridges. That convinces me this was the gun employed.
Well, assuming that it is, what good does that knowledge do us unless we know who pulled the trigger? Oh, I wish Dawson would get here. Maybe he knows the answer to this.
Well, didn't he come back with the crew?
Yes, but an ice jam developed on the river. He went down to blow it out.
Oh.
We're due to float 10,000 feet downstream tonight because it must reach the mill by next week. Well, he should be back shortly. Kent, I don't think I can stand much more of this.
Oh, now, buck up, Mr. Harmon. It'll straighten out.
I suppose so. In the meantime, I can't take it. I'm not as young as I'd like to be when trouble starts brewing. I've had my share of it all my life and managed to squeeze by, but when you're going on 55, Kent, you feel as though you've got a right to sit back, relax.
Well, you'll get that chance, I'm sure.
I'm worried about Nancy, Kent. When I take things hard, it upsets her terribly. I know she hasn't slept a wink these last few nights. I hear her get up, come out, and sit by the fire. It's not right.
Oh. Hey, by the way, where are Jimmy and Nancy? I didn't realize it, but it's almost dark.
Why, I told you they went out to look at the raccoons.
Yes, but that was almost an hour ago. Where are the raccoons?
The wire pen out and back. Here, this way. Yeah, there's the pen, next to that shed.
Well, I don't see either of them.
Jimmy!
Well, they have walked down around the cabins. Nancy knows my whistle. She'll answer it. That's funny.
I'm going to look for them. It'll be pitch dark soon.
Now, wait a minute, Kent. Look at these footprints in the snow around the pen. One set is Nancy's, and the other set must be Jimmy's.
Yes, it is. We can follow them. Come on.
Where do they lead to?
Back of the shed. What's there?
Nothing but a little cleared land, then a pine woods.
Well, the prints are headed right for the woods.
I don't like this, Kent. Nancy would never wander away like this.
Wait a minute. Hold up.
Why, what is it, Kent?
Look. They never got to the woods. The footprints end here, right out in the open.
No, they must have gone back or turned off.
Those are the only footprints in the snow besides our own.
But, Kent, it's impossible. They couldn't just vanish. Where could they have gone?
Well, according to these footprints, there's only one place they could have gone. Up in the air.
Now, what strange, baffling thing has happened to add to the mystery surrounding the logging camp? Where did Jimmy and Nancy Harmon vanish to, and how is it possible that their footprints in the snow ended abruptly? Can you figure it out? If you can't, don't fail to listen to the next episode of Superman.
Don't forget, tune in again for the next thrilling episode with Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine. Presenting the transcription feature, Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman who can leap tall buildings at a single bound, race a speeding bullet to its target, then steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice.
And now to our story. The legend of the White Plague, a strange superstition of the frozen north, has been terrorizing the Bartlett logging camp where Clark Kent and young Jimmy Olsen are vacationing. When we last saw Kent, he and Fred Harmon, middle-aged boss of the camp, were alone in the camp office. Suddenly, Kent realized it was getting dark and wondered what had happened to Harmon's daughter, Nancy, and Jimmy Olsen, both of whom had gone out to look at some young raccoons penned up behind the cabin. Kent investigated but found no sign of them. However, their footprints were clearly visible in the snow and seemed to point in the direction of a pine forest about a quarter of a mile behind the logging camp. Puzzled and worried, Kent and Harmon followed the footprints until they suddenly and mysteriously stopped halfway between the camp and the forest. For a moment, both men were speechless. Then Kent said,
"Look, Mr. Harmon, they never got to the woods. These footprints end abruptly right out here in the open."
But it's impossible, Kent. They must have gone back or turned off and walked in another direction.
Those are the only footprints in the snow besides our own.
Kent, it's fantastic. Nancy and Jimmy couldn't just vanish. Where did they go?
According to these footprints, there's only one place they could have gone, up in the air.
Kent, please, this is no time for jokes. In another 10 minutes, it'll be pitch dark. Nancy! Nancy!
You'd better go back to camp, Mr. Harmon. Check all the cabins. Jimmy has an insatiable curiosity, and he might have talked Nancy into taking him on a tour of inspection. I'll look through the pine woods.
Wait a minute. Someone's coming. Oh, it's you, Dawson.
Evening, Kent. Something wrong?
Plenty, Dawson. Nancy and Kent's boy Jimmy have disappeared.
What?
I think they just wandered off, Mr. Dawson. Probably find them in one of the loggers' cabins chewing the fat.
I wish I was that optimistic. Look at those footprints in the snow, Dawson. They're Nancy's and Jimmy's. See how they stopped short?
Oh, backtracks?
No, they didn't turn back.
That's funny. Tracks got to lead somewhere.
That's what frightens me. They don't.
Now, look, Mr. Harmon, you mustn't let go. I'm just as concerned as you are, but we'll find them. You and Dawson check the cabins. I'll search the woods.
No man in his right mind goes into them woods alone after dark, Mr. Kent. Not with the wolves hungry as they are.
Wolves don't bother me. You check the cabins. And if you locate them, give me a shout.
Hold up, Kent. Don't go in there alone. I'd better go with them, Mr. Harmon. You rout the men out and have them search the east woods in pairs. I'll go along with Kent.
All right. All right.
Hold up, Kent. I'm coming with you.
Don't worry too much about me, Dawson.
You don't know the North Woods during a bad winter, Mr. Kent. Even a hungry fox will charge a man. Come on.
What do you make of all this, Dawson?
I don't know. Don't seem human.
Oh, it's human, all right. I didn't tell you, but Jimmy and I came close to losing our lives when we drove that sled back to camp today.
What?
Someone fired at us from the woods. That was human, all right. That much you can count on. Legends, even important ones like the White Plague, can't pull the trigger of a high-powered rifle.
You mean someone actually shot at you and the boy trying to hit you?
That's just what I mean. And the rifle he used was the same one your logging crew took along on the job today.
Now, just a minute, Kent. If you're insinuating that one of my
I'm not
men...
insinuating anything, Mr. Dawson. I'm stating cold facts.
Well, since you know what rifle was used, maybe you know who used it.
No, I don't. At least at the moment. But I'll find out, Dawson, if I have to stay here until the snow melts. Well, here we are at the edge of the woods. You see any tracks?
I don't want. They're not in the woods, Kent. Nancy knew better than to go into that thick pine at night.
Jimmy! Jimmy!
That can be heard for over a mile. If there's no answer...
Wait a minute. But I heard something moving through the brush.
Woodchuck, likely. That pine's full of them.
Jimmy! Miss Harmon! What was that? Sounded like shots.
Rifle from the camp. Come on, let's beat it back.
Who do you think's shooting?
I don't know. Cut back to the office, Kent.
All right.
There's a deep snowdrift on the other side. Follow me.
Right.
Wait a minute. There's someone standing in the raccoon pen. He's carrying a rifle. Who's there?
It's me. Fred Harmon.
Oh.
I missed it. I'm sure I missed it.
You missed what, Mr. Harmon?
I heard its wings beating.
What?
I rushed in for a rifle, and by the time I came out again, I could barely see it.
What are you talking about, Mr. Harmon?
It was like an eagle, Kent, only bigger.
A White Eagle.
I think you'd better go inside, Mr. Harmon.
No, wait. It might come back. I shot at it twice, but I'm sure I missed it.
Take his other arm, Kent.
Let go of me. You think I'm mad, don't you? Well, I'm not. I saw it as clearly as I see you. And I heard its wings. It was big enough to lift a man from the ground. Do you hear? Big enough to lift a man.
Please, Mr. Harmon.
I know it sounds mad, but believe me, it's the truth. Look. What's that sticking up on the snowbank? No. Over there.
It's a feather. A large white feather.
You see. Now do you believe me? Let me see it, Kent. Here.
It's a feather, all right.
And look at the size of it. Look at it.
Too big for an eagle feather, and even a tail quill.
I told you it had a 10-foot wingspread. It was big enough to carry a man off. Kent, do you know what that means?
It'll crack any minute now, Dawson. Take him into his cabin. I'll be right back.
It means, Kent, that Nancy and Jimmy were carried off somewhere.
I know what it means.
That Superman has to step in. I'm sure Harmon must be mistaken, but I can't take any chances. If there is a bird that big up in the sky, I'll find it. Up! Up! And away!
Drink this brandy, Mr. Harmon. It'll make you feel better.
No, I don't want it. Where did Kent go, Dawson?
I don't know. He said he'd be back.
Dawson, those footprints in the snow, Nancy's and Jimmy's. Remember how they ended abruptly? Remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Take this brandy, Mr. Harmon.
Dawson, send a man into town. I want to wire Mr. Bartlett. We're closing the camp, Dawson. I can't stand it any longer.
All right, I'll send a man in. Here, drink this. That'll make you feel better.
What time is it, Dawson?
I don't know, Mr. Harmon. I haven't got my watch.
There's a clock in the back room. Bring it in here.
Okay. There.
All right, put it on the table. What time is it?
8:15.
It's dark out, isn't it? Pitch dark.
Yeah.
Nancy and the boy are out there in the darkness. We may never see them again, Dawson. Never.
No sign of any giant bird yet. I know this is all a waste of precious time, but I've got to satisfy myself that Harmon was just mad with anxiety. And yet his story of the bird and those footprints in the snow match perfectly. Wait. What's that down below me in the forest clearing? Smoke pouring out of a chimney. That's strange. Dawson told me there wasn't a human being within 5 miles of the camp. I think I'll drop down and investigate. Down! Down! It's a log cabin. No light inside, but there must be a fire burning. Might as well look into it as Clark Kent.
It doesn't look like there's anyone home. Wonder whether the door's locked. No, it's open. Hello, is anyone in? Guess not. Wait. Someone stretched out on a cot. What? Why, it's Nancy Harmon. And there's Jimmy on another cot. See now. And they're both breathing evenly. And they're not hurt. Seem to be asleep. Jimmy! Jimmy, wake up! Nothing doing. I know what's the matter. They've been drugged. I'd better get them back to camp as soon as possible. I'll have to fly with
Superman. All right. There we are. One under each arm. Out the door. Up! Up! And away!
What time is it, Dawson?
You just asked me, Mr. Harmon. 9:25.
Kent hasn't come back yet?
No.
You send a man into town to get that wire off, Dawson?
Not yet.
Well, why not? What are you waiting for?
I think we'd better wait until Mr. Kent gets back.
Why?
Well, I don't know, but...
What was that wind? Is there a storm coming up?
I don't think so.
Take a look outside.
Okay.
Hold the door open, Dawson.
Here, found him, Kent?
Nancy! Nancy!
Take it easy, Mr. Harmon.
Here, give me a hand with you, Dawson. Sure. Put Nancy on the couch. That's it. And this settee here is big enough for Jimmy. Here you go, young fella. That's fine.
Kent. They're dead.
No, they're not. No, sir. Where's the nearest doctor, Dawson?
At Hart's Landing. That's 50 miles.
What?
What's the matter with them, Kent? Were they hurt?
No, they won't hurt. They're all right. They seem to have been drugged. No doctor nearer than Hart's Landing?
No, but Father Malone at Mobile knows a lot about treating the sick. He does it all the time.
Well, send someone for him at once. We may be able to bring Nancy and Jimmy around without help, but let's not take any chances.
Okay, I'll get a sled off right away.
Good.
Kent, will they live?
Of course they will. I'll get you some warm water and get some milk. All the milk you have. We've got to work fast, Mr. Harmon. Every minute counts.
How serious is the condition of Nancy and Jimmy? Were they drugged, as Kent seems to think, or is there another explanation for their mysterious disappearance? And who left them in the log cabin deep in the woods? Don't miss the next episode of Superman if you want the answers.
Don't forget, tune in again for the next thrilling episode with Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Stand by to raise ship. Blast off -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0! As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. From every corner of Space Academy, spilling out of dormitories, tumbling from jet cars, jumping from slidewalks, hundreds of cadets race across the grassy quadrangle and crowd into the administration building to hear the results of rigid midterm examinations. As the voice of the officer of the day crackles harshly over the loudspeaker, Tom Corbett and Roger Manning wait anxiously with the other cadets. Breathing a prayer, their names will be among those who pass, for failure means dismissal from Space Academy.
Casey, Serrano, Cooper, Copeland, Corbett.
Congratulations, Tom. You made it.
Thanks, Roger. I'd rather take acceleration from maximum rocket drive than sweat out that lift.
Same here. Only one thing I'm worried about.
What's that?
That last power drive problem. I don't think I answered it the right way.
Hey, hold it, Roger. It's getting to the end.
Scott, Larkin, Matthew, Mallard, Mayfield, McQuarrie, Muller.
Hey, Roger, she didn't call your name.
That's it, Space Boy. I failed. Oh, no. There must be some mistake, Roger.
No mistake. You know as well as I do. You're either on that list or you're not. I'm getting out of this uniform before I'm arrested for impersonating a space cadet.
And permission is hereby granted to Jonas Brady and Andrew Peters for exploration of secondary satellites of Jupiter's moons. Object of exploration, uranium pitchblende deposits. Permit for the above, LC 98452, dated 1 April 2352. Signed, Stephen Strong, Captain, Solar Guard. All right, I think that'll cover you, Brady. I'll put the Solar Guard seal on it now.
Say, I don't suppose you could tell Peters and me where we could find a good astrogator.
I'm afraid not, Brady. Shouldn't be too hard to get one, though.
Oh, I'm sorry, Captain Strong. I didn't know you were busy.
Well, that's all right, Corbett. Come in. We finished our business. What is it?
Well, it's Roger, sir.
Again? Well, what happened this time?
He failed to pass midterm exams, sir.
Failed? Well, that's impossible. He can astrogate as well as I can.
Roger thinks it was the power deck problem he missed, and I was wondering if you could do something.
You know Academy rules as well as I do, Corbett. If Manning's failed, he'll be dismissed from the Academy. Nothing can be done about it.
Excuse me, Captain.
Oh, yes, Brady.
I just wanted to thank you again for your help. We'd like to blast off as soon as we can.
Oh, of course. Here's your permit. And spaceman's luck.
Thanks. We'll need it. Come on, Peters.
Right, Jonas. So long, Captain.
Goodbye. Now, Corbett, let's get to the whole story. Is Manning positive he failed his
Well, looks like we're set, Jonas.
Yeah. And did you hear about the kid getting kicked out of the academy?
I'm way ahead of you, Jonas. The best astrographer in the joint. He said kicked out. And we need an astrogator.
Wrong. Said the kid's name was Manning.
What are we waiting for? Let's find a kid named Manning.
Captain Strong here.
Captain, this is Tom Corbett.
Oh, I was just going to call you, Tom. I checked the results of the midterm exams, and there was good reason for Manning not being on the regular list. He didn't wait for the honor list to be announced.
Honor list?
That's right. I don't know how he did it, but he posted the third highest average in the academy.
Oh, great. That's just fine.
Well, you don't sound very happy about it.
I'm not, sir. Roger's gone.
What?
I just got back to the dormitory. Found his lockers empty, all his clothes gone.
Why, that hot-headed young idiot.
I called the main gate, and he was checked out 15 minutes ago. He took a jet cab to the city.
Well, you better jet right after him, Tom. Find him and bring him back, or he'll be in trouble.
But, sir, it really isn't his fault. He didn't know.
He shouldn't have gone off half-cocked like that. Now, if he isn't here by bed check tonight, he'll be court-martialed for being absent without leave. And then he really will be an ex-cadet.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Fellas and girls, listen to this exciting announcement. Starting now, right now, you'll find exciting cutouts on the back of each and every regular package of Kellogg's Pep. And what are these cutouts? Well, they're real, true-to-life photograph cutouts of all your favorite Space Cadets. Here's your chance to get a complete collection of Space Cadet pictures. There's a cutout of Dr. Dale, one of Tom Corbett, Astro, and Roger Manning, too. Here's Tom Corbett to tell you all about it.
That's the truth, Spaceman. Right now at your grocery store, there's a package of Kellogg's Pep just waiting for you. And on the back, you'll find a photograph cutout of one of your favorite Space Cadets. Cut them out and pin them on your wall. Or you can paste them on your school book. And if you haven't got a full set, you can trade your extras for the ones you haven't got. It's a swell collection. So start getting your photograph cutouts of the Space Cadets right now.
That's right, Spaceman. And remember, there's another exciting Space Cadet photograph cutout on the back of each and every regular-sized Kellogg's Pep package. So don't delay. Ask your mom to get the build-up wheat cereal. Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Believing he has failed the rigid midterm examinations, Cadet Roger Manning has left Space Academy and taken a job as astrogator with Jonas Brady and Andrew Peters, two space prospectors searching for vital uranium pitch blends. But back at Space Academy, Cadet Tom Corbett has decided to ask for an emergency leave to go in search of his friend Roger Manning.
All right, Corbett. I'll give you the leave, but I don't think it'll do any good to look for Manning. By now, he could be any place. Mars, Venus, right here on Earth.
I'll find him, Captain Strong. I'm sure Roger would do the same for me.
Yes, I guess he would. All right. Here you are, 5-day emergency pass.
Attention, emergency alert. By order of Commander Arkwright, all leaves are canceled and all cadet units and instructors are to report to the main assembly hall on the double.
All right, cadets, stand to. Commander Arkwright has placed me in command of this emergency, and I want your undivided attention. All of you are acquainted with the vital work of the Solar Alliance in mining uranium pitch blende on Pluto. Now, without N72C, the mining operations on Pluto would stop, and our supply of raw uranium pitch blende would be cut to a dangerously low level. We've just received a report from our refineries on Mars that every ounce of N720, a new chemical explosive, has been stolen, and it will take 2 years to replace it. Who stole it and how it was stolen is the work of the Security Division. Our job is to get it all back before it is broken down into small lots and sold on the black market. Now, Commander Arkwright has ordered every available ship into space. Each of you will be given a sector to patrol. Your orders are simple. Stop every ship in your sector and search it. Your objective, 217 boxes of N72C. Any questions? Very well, then blast off according to emergency plan. And spaceman's luck. Oh, Corbett.
Yes, Captain Strong.
You'll come with me aboard the rocket destroyer Galileo. We'll patrol sectors 6, 7, and 8 in the orbit of Jupiter.
Right, sir. But is the situation really that bad?
Corbett, if we don't find that explosive, our production of uranium will be so low, half of all the spaceships now in flight will have to be grounded.
Destroyer Squadron 9 will patrol Earth lunar space lanes, and Cruiser Group J will search the asteroid belt. Further assignments to follow. All ships are to be intercepted and searched for the missing N72C. Maintain standby watch of this frequency for orders from Central Spaceport Control. In transmission.
Boy, those poor jokers are really fusing their tubes about that stuff. Sure must be valuable. Well, none of my concern anymore.
That's you, Jonas? Jonas, ain't you?
No, it's Manning.
Huh? What are you doing here, kid?
Looking for you. Brady wants you.
All right, so you found me. Now beat it.
After I take a look at what's in that box.
No, stay away from there.
Why? I'm a partner, aren't I? I've got a right to see the supplies we're carrying. Say, wait a minute. Supplies, huh? This is N72C.
So what? We're prospectors, ain't we? We need explosives.
200 cases, pal? Cases that were stolen?
What do you mean, stolen?
Don't pull that innocent act on me. I just picked up a solar guard alert. They're looking for this stuff right now.
But they'll never find it, kid.
Brady.
I figured you were the type to get nosy, so I just put the ship on automatic pilot and came down to make sure Peters kept you out of here.
I couldn't keep him out, Jonas. You boys
Shut up, Peters. You couldn't stop a space rat. Huh? I ought to beat your head off for letting them see this.
No, there's no way to talk to a
partner.
partner.
Shut up, I said. All right, kid, so we got a full cargo of N720. What about it?
I'm resigning from this partnership right now.
I got news for you, space boy. You're not back in Space Academy playing one of your little games now. The only way to resign from this outfit is to take a walk out in space without a spacesuit.
Closing in on the outer moons of Jupiter now, sir. You can see them on the radar scanner.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hate to think what a time we'll have if they reach those planetoids without us knowing it.
Hey, look, sir. A spaceship heading right into the thickest part of Jupiter's space junk.
Yes. And from the looks of her on the radar scanner, she's an old Venusian colonizer. All right, Tom. Stand by to intercept. Maybe this time we'll be lucky.
Well, Hotshot, that destroyer's closing in.
Space Raider from Rocket Cruiser Galileo. This is Captain Strong of the Solar Guard.
Captain Strong?
Keep to and stand by for boarding party.
Well, Brady, what are you going to do now?
Peters, keep him covered.
What are you going to do?
Come on, keep him covered, I said.
All right, Jonas. All right.
Hello, Rocket Destroyer Galileo from Space Raider Jenny Alden. This is Jonas Brady speaking. Go ahead.
Keep to, Brady. We're coming aboard.
Coming aboard? Why? Anything wrong?
We just want to check your cargo. If everything's all right, you'll be cleared to go on.
I see. Well, I tell you, Captain, our main airlock mechanism...
He's lying, Captain Strong. There's nothing wrong with the airlock.
Hey, what was that, Brady?
Why, that was just my astrogator telling me something. By the way, I think you know him, Captain. He used to be a cadet, fellow by the name of Manning.
Manning? What in blazes is he doing on your ship?
Oh, he signed on just before we blasted off. He likes the idea of prospecting with us. Figures in making a pile of money.
He does he? Well, let me talk to him.
Oh, wait a minute. Hey, Manning, come here.
Jonas, are you space happy?
Shut up. I know what I'm doing. Why, I'm sorry, Captain. He says he don't want to talk to you.
Well, listen, Brady. I want to search your ship. If we can't couple our airlocks together, we'll just have to board you in space.
No, don't do that, Captain. I tell you what, we ain't far from Jupiter. Now, suppose I touch down and you trail me in. Make it a lot easier. You can board me on the ground through the emergency power deck hatch.
All right. Get going then. Change course.
Right away, Captain. You just follow me down and I'll wait for you. And transmission. That was easier than I thought.
Jonas, you must have been drinking rocket juice. You're taking us right into a trap.
I don't know why I got hooked up with a whining fool like you, Peters. I got strong doing exactly what I want.
Oh, you have, huh? Well, as soon as he comes aboard, he'll find all them boxes of N72C, and that's what he wants.
Of course not. Now, you get to work right now and start loading the jet boat.
The jet boat? But...
No questions, Peters. Move.
Wait a minute. What about this kid? You talk.
Oh, no, you won't. After you're through loading the explosives, break out 2 spacesuits. Just 2. When Captain Strong comes aboard the Jenny Alden, he's going to find 1 empty spaceship and 1 dead body.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
This is Venus Space Station, calling Space Academy Commissary. Request increased ration, Kellogg's Pep. Request increased ration, Kellogg's Pep. This is Solar Guard Station Titan, calling Space Academy Commissary. Include double ration, Kellogg's Pep, in next shipment. Demand for Kellogg's Pep increasing every month. This is Comet Watch Patrol Ship number 4, calling Space Academy Commissary. Hey, what do you say, fellas? Let's have some pep, huh? Send up some Kellogg's Pep.
Well, that's the story down at the Space Academy Commissary. The calls are coming in from every space station in the solar system. More Kellogg's Pep, more Kellogg's Pep. Well, you spacemen know why, too. Every time you help yourself to that swell whole wheat and malt flavor, well, you can tell right off why Kellogg's Pep is making such a big hit with spacemen. And say, Kellogg's Pep helps the solar guardsman keep in trim by supplying him with vitamin D, vitamin B1, and many other essential food values to help him stay on the job. So give yourself the same energy blast off every morning with Kellogg's Pep. And remember, to get your pep, well, you don't have to call the Space Academy Commissary. The corner grocery store is your commissary for the Spaceman cereal Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Tricking Captain Strong into landing on Jupiter, Jonas Brady has begun a desperate plan to save his stolen cargo of valuable explosive and get rid of Roger Manning. Now on the deserted wastes of Jupiter, where the gravity is 2.5 times that of Earth, Tom Corbett and Captain Strong leave the rocket prospector Galileo and in spacesuits and helmets struggle toward the Jenny Alden, partially hidden by a huge rock formation. A walk that will bring them face to face with death.
I'll never get used to Jupiter, Captain Strong. I don't know which is worse, but double gravity or all the quakes.
I know, Tom. This double gravity makes it feel like you're carrying 400 pounds on your back. Be careful and don't fall. You'll never pick yourself up.
Why did Brady land in that valley? He must have known we couldn't come in alongside.
Yeah, this whole setup is pretty fishy. I can't understand why Roger didn't want to talk to us. If he ever talked his way out of anything, it had better be now.
All set, Jonas. The N72C is loaded in the jet boat, and I've got the 2 spacesuits.
Okay, Peters. I just saw Strong leave the destroyer with another guy and head this way.
I'm getting nervous, Jonas. What if they catch us?
You know something, Peters? I think you're a yeller. Our little space cadet has got more guts than you.
You got no right to talk to me that way. Hey, Jonas, it's an earthquake. Hang on.
Just what I was hoping for.
What?
I spent 2 years prospecting this crummy planet right around here. Every 5 or 6 hours there's a quake. That ought to hold Captain Strong for a while. Now, get Manning out here in the jet boat, Luck. We're ready to move.
Wait a minute, Jonas. I've been thinking. Stealing is one thing. If you're caught, you get time on the prison asteroid. But killing, that's something else again.
Hey, wait a minute. What is this?
I don't like it. I don't want no part of it.
Why, you crummy little space rat.
Let's just blast off in the jet boat and leave the kid here. Won't do us no real good to kill him.
I'm giving the orders around here, and I say get the kid.
But, Jonas...
Get him right now.
All right, Jonas. You win.
You bet I win, you little space crawler. Try to chicken out on me, will you?
All right, Manny. Come on out.
You guys sure picked yourself a nice graveyard to land in.
You're using the right word, kid. Move.
Well, Brady, where do you expect to go from here?
A long way, kid. Peters, you have his power, right?
Yeah, sure.
Hand it over.
Okay.
What do you think you're going to do now?
Kind of impatient, ain't you?
Come on, Jonas. Let's get this over with.
Sure, Peters. I'd be glad to. All right, Manning, stand over there next to them spacesuits.
Hey, now, listen, wait a minute.
Watch, kids. Watch.
Captain Strong, the quake's getting worse. We've got to get to the city Olden.
Just another 100 yards, Corbett. We can make it.
Captain, look. A jet boat. It just blasted out of the freighter.
Blast them. They pulled a fast one on us. Hurry, Corbett. And pray they've left Roger alive. Captain Strong to Rocket Destroyer Squadron B, cover sectors 7, 8, and 9, Jupiter orbit. Intercept jet boat believed to be carrying stolen explosives. That is all.
Captain Strong! Captain, come here, quick!
Yes, Corbett, where are you?
Down here, sir, in the jet boat airlock.
What is it?
There, sir. Look.
By the rings of Saturn.
Peters. Yes, sir. Blasted by a parallel ray and left in the open airlock. He didn't have a chance. And look here, sir. These small chips that look like putty.
Well, that's M72C. That nails it. They did steal the explosive and escaped with it in the jet boat.
But where's Roger, sir?
That's what I'd like to know. I'd be interested in finding out how he's tied up with this operation.
But, sir, you don't think...
Wait a minute. Look at this.
A parallel ray. And it's Academy issue.
Not only that. Look at the name on the grip.
Roger.
There's been one shot fired. Probably the one that got Peters.
Well, then that explains it. Roger was trying to fight them.
He was? Well, then why isn't he here now? No, Tom, it looks to me like poor Peters was the victim of a double cross.
What?
And with the way Roger felt about the Academy, and the fact that he isn't here now, and the fact that he sailed on a ship with stolen cargo...
Oh, he wouldn't. He couldn't do a thing like that.
I'm just pointing out. When we find Roger, I certainly hope he can prove I'm wrong.
He must be able to prove it, sir. And if I have to go clear out to the next galaxy, I'll find him and make him prove it. So help me, I will.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, when Tom and Captain Strong become space rats to follow a trail that leads them from the moons of Jupiter to the underworld of Venus in Part 2 of Double Cross in Space. Tune in, same time, same station on Thursday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal. Tom
Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for a daily and in weekend edition. Featured in today's cast are Jan Merlin, Edward Bryce, Paul Ford, and Ian Martin. Today's program was written by Richard Jessup, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a...
Finding life rather dull, dreaming again of exotic places, wishing you were somewhere else? We offer you Escape.
Escape with us now to a small freighter in the China Seas and a sinister traveler who brings destruction to crew and ship alike, as Ellis St. Joseph tells it in his most unusual play, A Passenger to Bali.
The papers in my pocket read Steamship Roundabout, 9,000 tons, British registry. Master and owner, Captain English. Stamped across the face was the clearance of Port Authority. I'd be glad to see the last of Shanghai, its smell and its waterfront filth. Cargoes had been scarce. Now, with our hold filled for the first time in months, I didn't want to waste time. I wanted to get underway before morning. Mr. Slaughter!
Aye, Captain.
Would you step up here to the bridge, mister?
Aye, sir.
Are we ready to sail, mister?
All secure, sir.
All hands on board?
Aye, sir.
Good. Let's clear port, Mr. Slaughter.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rangle, stand by the castle. Stand by. Stand by. Let go the stern spring line. You there on the dock. Take that line forward. Forward, you lump of meat. Here, you can't board now.
But, my good fellow, I am aboard.
The ship is about to sail.
Who is it, Mr. Slaughter?
Oh, someone who insists he talk with you, sir.
Stay there. I'll be down. Well, what is it?
Have I the honor of addressing Captain English of the Roundabout?
I am Captain English.
Allow me to introduce myself, Captain. I am the Reverend Walks, a missionary bound for Bali.
What can I do for you?
You can offer me your hand?
Come to your point, Mr. Walks. We're about to sail.
I am told your boat puts in at Butte along the port of Bali. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good. Here you will find my passport and papers of identification. If the papers and myself shall meet with your approval, we can settle the matter of money, and I shall sail with you tonight.
You've been misinformed, Mr. Walks. The Roundabout is a trading steamer with no accommodations for passengers.
You'll find I need little.
I'm sorry, but it's impossible. Good night, sir.
Name your price.
What's that?
A customary fare from Shanghai to Bali is $100. I'll double it.
Sorry.
Don't tell me there isn't room in your cash box for $200.
That's a lot of money, Mr. Walks.
Think of the reward for bringing grace to the pagan Balinese.
Let me see your papers. Well, your passport seems to be in order. The photograph, you.
And the money, Captain English. The money is also interesting. Is it not?
Where is your luggage, Mr. Walks?
On the dock. 2 cases of Bible.
I'll see to them. Mr. Slaughter, take Mr. Walks forward. Tell Mr. Wrangle to get the luggage aboard.
Aye, sir.
Thank you, Captain English. You won't regret your choice. And now, if you'll just lead the way, Mr. Slaughter.
I watched him walk away, his monstrous bulk shadowing grotesquely in the foggy half-light, his great bull neck creasing into massive shoulders, his shaggy black hair wild and unkempt. I didn't like this man, this missionary, strange in his ways and manners. Yet I found myself thinking that, after all, he was a man of God. Perhaps later I would come to understanding. The fog was thicker now. I shook myself free of the depression I felt. Mr. Wrangle.
Hi, Ken.
Prepare to cast off. We sail immediately. It was the third night out of Shanghai when Mr. Slaughter brought the first trouble to my cabin.
I found her in the afterhold, sir. Come on board in Shanghai.
Obviously, Mr. Slaughter. Come here, Dome. I won't hurt you. Come here. What is your name, girl?
I don't think she understands English, sir. Probably Chinese from the looks of her.
Understand?
What are you doing aboard this steamer?
Must come on ship.
What do you mean, must come on ship? Why?
Must come.
Now, look here. Do you know what is done with stowaways?
Stowaways?
Yes, people who sneak on board a ship without paying.
I do not know.
There's no place to put her ashore, sir, until we reach Bali.
I know, and yet she can't have the run of the ship.
We could lock her in the empty cabin, sir.
You forget, Slaughter. There is no empty cabin now. Mr. Walks is in it.
Mr. Walk. Mr. Walk.
You know Mr. Walks, girl?
Oh, Mr. Walk.
Mr. Slaughter, would you ask Mr. Walks to step into my cabin, please?
Oh, sir. I'll only be a...
Gentlemen, I couldn't help but hear my name being spoken. May I be of service to you, Captain?
What are you running for?
I don't appreciate eavesdropping outside my cabin.
Eavesdropping? My dear Captain, you do me an injustice. I was merely passing by.
As you say, Mr. Walks. Mr. Walks, do you know this young girl? Have you ever seen her before?
What a charming child. What a delight. I'm sorry, Captain. I'm afraid I cannot help you. I have never seen her in my life.
Mr. Walk, you tell me no.
After all, Captain English, you could hardly expect a man like myself to know a girl from what must obviously be a sordid livelihood. I have never seen this girl before.
She came aboard this boat to be with you.
Did she tell you so?
No, but it's obviously so.
Even though I am dedicated as a missionary to aid and comfort the distressed, I do not feel obligated to lie merely to smooth the path for another's crime. This girl is obviously far beyond any spiritual help or material comfort that I could give her. Good day, gentlemen.
Girl, did you know this man in Shanghai?
Yes.
Did you know him well?
Very well. He was not... Yes, very well.
Slaughter and I talked with the girl for a long while, but we could learn nothing further. After more questions, useless ones, I had the first mate take her forward and feed her and find her a bed. I would talk with Mr. Walks in the morning. Slaughter and I were eating breakfast, and Mr. Walks came into the mess room. He sat down. His gigantic, obscene body overflowed from his chair across the table.
Good morning, gentlemen. I trust your nights were pleasant ones.
Mr. Walks, I want to talk with you about that girl.
The girl? Oh, yes, a tragedy.
I want you to tell me all you know about her. Then I'll decide what's to be done.
What's to be done? Captain, you're overstepping your bounds. This is God's work. Now?
What do you mean?
Oh, dear. You haven't heard?
Heard what, Mr. Walks? What is there to hear?
About the girl, Mr. Slaughter. The poor girl.
What of her?
It seems she met with an accident last night.
Accident?
Yes, at least so I presume. There is some small evidence that she has left our ship now to ride in a mightier, more wonderful vessel. Perhaps even now she is riding across the heavens in a chariot of flaming gold.
What are you talking about?
The poor, demented girl sought succor in the depths of water about us.
What?
Her pitiful torn shawl lies amid the hawsers at the stern. She committed suicide sometime last night. Well, Must I eat alone, or will you gentlemen stay for a second cup of coffee?
In my own mind, I knew what had happened, and I'm sure Slaughter did. I felt certain Walks had killed her and thrown her overboard, but there was nothing I could do. 4 days later, we dropped anchor in the harbor of Bulalong. The ship's officers and I were anxious to get our cargo unloaded and to know that we were rid of Mr. Walks. I was in my cabin going through the routine of bills of lading and ship's papers with a port officer, Mr. Matsius, new at the job and overcautious.
About your passenger. He is a missionary?
Yes, he came aboard in Shanghai.
Captain, since there have been certain changes in Bali, we now have no need of such a person. This man's name is what?
Walks, the Reverend Mr. Walks.
You do not usually carry passengers, Captain?
No, we don't.
Could I speak with this man?
No, of course.
Merely a formality.
Of course, I'll have the mess boy locate him. Be only a minute.
Captain English?
Oh, I was looking for you, Mr. Walks.
For you. The port officer would like to see me. I overheard. But first, let me give you this.
$200. What's this for?
The use of a lifeboat.
What are you talking about?
A lifeboat, Captain. I need one to get ashore. You wouldn't have me swim.
The port officer wants to talk with you. Come along.
Wait, Captain.
Walks, I'm as anxious to have you off my boat as you are to leave. You can only go ashore in the proper way at the proper time.
This is your last chance. Yours as well as mine. Let me go ashore now or take the consequences. You'll search the four corners of the globe looking for this minute. Don't let it slip through your fingers. There's an eternity in it.
Captain English. This man is not a missionary. His name is not Vox. All Indonesia is close to him.
What? You mean he can't land? Oh, no, this is ridiculous, Mr. Matches. This man doesn't belong to me. I refuse to be burdened with him.
You have no choice. He's on your ship. He belongs to you.
This man booked passage from Shanghai to Bali, and I refuse to take him further.
I am sorry, Captain English, but this is not my concern. During the time you are in port, a police guard will be placed on this man. He will not be allowed out of his cabin. When you sail, he will sail with you.
Who is this man?
Call him a murderer, an anarchist, a revolutionary. It does not matter. During the recent trouble here, he fought on both sides and profiteered from both sides. As I said, Indonesia is close to him. Your papers are in order and stamped, Captain. Good day.
I warned you, Captain. You should have let me go. You should have let me go ashore in the lifeboat. For now and the time ahead, you are going to see a great deal of your passenger to Bali. Yes, a great deal.
Escape, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, is bringing you Ellis St. Joseph's great play, A Passenger to Bali.
It was the 6th week, 42 days before, we had taken on a passenger in Shanghai, bound for Bali. 3 days after he boarded the ship, he had murdered a young girl, a stowaway. We all knew he had, but we couldn't prove it. Now we were anchored outside the harbor of Bangkok. I was in the deck house, and Mr. Slaughter rapped on the door.
Well, Captain, what's the news?
Bad, I'm afraid.
Walks hasn't been refused again.
Again? Just as he was in Makassar and Lembang in Batavia. The same words, the same reasons as in Bali.
Captain English, there was a fight in the forecastle this morning. One of the men hurt bad, and it was because of Walks.
Who were the men?
Able Seaman Coles and Duncan, sir.
Coles and Duncan. Oh, they're friends.
Yes, sir, they were. It's all Mr. Walk's doing, sir. The three of them were arguing about something, and suddenly like the fight starts. Duncan was cut heavy in the chest. Walks just sat by.
Where is he now?
In the mess, sir.
I'll be right back. Wait here. Mr. Walks. Mr. Walks!
Oh, Captain English, I didn't hear you come in. I was reading. The Bible, as a matter of fact. Did you want to speak with me?
I am told you are directly responsible for an injury sustained by a member of my crew.
Oh, yes, that tragic episode between Duncan and Coles. I'd almost forgotten.
I could have you put in irons.
For what reason? I did nothing. The men were discussing religion, and I was simply pointing out certain points to each.
They went at each other with knives.
Like children in the fever of the moment. Was there something else you wanted, Captain?
Mr. Walks,
Well?
No. Walks had dismissed me on my own ship. I had to get rid of this man. His personality was infecting us all. In the past month, he had come to order about the lesser members of the crew. He had his meals served whenever and wherever he wished. He drank liquor from my own locker. As I watched the harbor traffic of Bangkok, I knew there was only one thing to do. Mr. Slaughter.
Aye, sir.
We will weigh anchor.
How do we shape our course, sir?
Southeast by east, 3/4 south.
Aye, sir, southeast. That's Shanghai, Captain.
Yes, Mr. Slaughter, that's Shanghai. On the 2 weeks' return trip to Shanghai, I began to feel myself a stranger on my own ship. The trim little China Seas freighter was becoming a floating prison, and the jailer was Mr. Walks. My Kanaka crew, emotional and superstitious, were in love with him. They worshipped him, worshipped his massive body and his liquor-fed eloquence. My deck officers and I could feel control slipping through our fingers, and we were powerless to do anything about it. Then, finally, it was the last night. Tomorrow, we would anchor in Shanghai.
And so we're back to where we started from.
But at least we'll be rid of him.
I hope there's no slip-up this time.
There won't be.
They want him, eh?
Yes, Shanghai is as anxious to capture him as every other port was to reject him. They won't risk his escape.
What's he done, Captain?
Walks has been mixed up in something foul in every country he's touched. Heaven only knows what crimes he's committed. But shortly we'll be free of him. Let us have a drink to that.
I don't mind, Captain.
Get a new bottle out of the sideboard, will you? Here are the keys. Good. Just put it here. Oh, and 2 glasses.
You should make it 3 glasses. Well, gentlemen, surely you'll invite me to join you.
No, Mr. Walks. We'll not.
Then I shall have to help myself.
I think I'd better get out on deck, Captain. You'll excuse me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Too bad poor Mr. Slaughter couldn't stay.
Glad you enjoy my whiskey.
You have good taste, Captain. Good taste in everything. Whiskey, boats. The roundabout is an ideal little steamer. You might almost say I found a home here.
You packed, Mr. Walks.
A comfortable cabin, good food, now that I've schooled your cook. A well-stocked liquor cabinet.
Are you packed, Mr. Wilkes?
No. No, I am not packed.
You haven't much time. Tomorrow we'll be anchored at Shanghai and you'll be taken away. I hope to jail.
You could be wrong, Captain. It might turn out that I shall stay forever aboard your ship. Until eternity.
Walks, I've never liked you. Not since that first night when you came aboard in Shanghai. Oh? You're filthy. You're rotten, unclean. You're a murderer by your own influence.
This is no time for heated argument. Drink a toast with me, Captain.
You got into the very core of the ship with your rottenness.
A toast, Captain.
You seduced the whole crew, the Kanaka deckhands, the mess boys.
Every day they're becoming more slovenly, more lax.
Very well, I shall drink a toast myself. To the roundabout, may the comforts I've come to enjoy be not lost too soon.
I'd sink my ship before I'd allow you to stay aboard her one day longer.
Perhaps Shanghai will present an answer to surprise us both.
When this ship leaves Shanghai, Mr. Walks, it will leave free of you. Now, good night, sir. It was in the sweltering noon of the next day that Mr. Chisholm, the British consul at Shanghai, was seated in my cabin, a long drink in his thin hands.
Captain, the Chinese port authorities have told me of your predicament. I am to handle it in my own way, according to their instructions.
I don't understand.
Well, it's extremely simple. In every spot, every port, every town in which this man sets foot, some sort of trouble's broken out.
Oh, I know this, sir.
Well, I cannot be sure this man is responsible, but after all, the law of averages...
But, Mr. Chisholm, I want this man off my hands. How soon can you arrange this?
I am afraid I didn't make myself clear. Shanghai does not want him. Neither does the British consulate.
But this man is a criminal.
Oh, Mr. Walks would certainly be arrested the moment he set foot on land, but he'll not be given that opportunity.
Now, look, Mr. Chisholm, you've got to take that man ashore.
Oh, I'm afraid your now famous passenger is a man without a country.
Am I expected to sail him around the world the rest of my days?
I am sorry, Captain English. I'm sorry. You will depart at your earliest convenience. Good day, sir.
And so we sailed from Shanghai, the roundabout, and Mr. Walks. In the weeks that followed, a great shadow lay over the ship. Wrangle, the second mate, fell ill, stayed in his cabin. Slaughter began drinking, even during his watches. The ship seemed to smell of evil. Mr. Walks became the real captain of the roundabout. Then, sweeping in from the edges of the China Sea, came an even more destructive power, typhoon. The barometer had been falling for 3 days, and it was on the forenoon watch that the storm hit with its full impact. For 7 hours, the roundabout wallowed through the seething masses of water. Then an emergency call from the quartermaster brought me to the bridge. I went into the wheelhouse.
The power unit and the rudder control has gone out.
Where's the mate?
Went out, sir. Trying to correct trouble. We're on manual operation now, sir.
You'll need another man to help you. Get help.
But, sir, you can't...
I can handle it till you get back. Hurry, man. If this thing gets out of control and starts spinning, the rudder will tear itself free in a matter of minutes. Now, go on, man, hurry!
Aye, sir.
With the steam-powered gears to help me, each wave that hit the shuddering ship made the great wheel come alive beneath my hands. I stood, feet braced against the wild pitching of the vessel, shoulders and arms straining to retain control. I tried to gauge the monstrous waves rushing toward us, tried to ease the groaning ship through millions of tons of lashing water. My muscles pulled and ached as each gray-green monster hit. I could hear nothing over the scream of the storm. I turned, looking for the quartermaster, and in that second it happened. I had been flung off the wheel like a marionette, and now it spun free, spinning one way and then the other with each roll of the ship. I tried to get to my feet. My leg was twisted under me. My ship! What have you done to my ship? Walks! Get a rope. Stop the wheel. I'll stop it. No, it will stop your hands off. Get a rope. No time. Get a rope, you fool. It'll kill you, Walks. Stay away from it. I'll stop it if I have to smash it. You've done it. You've got the wheel on your back. I've got more than the wheel. I've got the whole ocean on my back. Can you hold it a minute longer, Walks? I'll help you.
Hold on until I get there.
Never mind, Captain. It will not be necessary.
What? What did you say?
The rudder has just snapped. I'm holding nothing.
The next morning, the storm was gone. Gone as quickly as it had come. Replaced by a thick, yellow, clinging fog through which the roundabout floated, broken, wrecked, sinking. Her wireless gone, half her crew dead. She might go in half an hour, or she might last a week. But I had the safety of my crew to think about. My ship. I had given the order to abandon her.
Like rats, we leave the sinking ship. Leave room for me up forward. I have need to stretch my legs.
You won't be with us this trip, Mr. Walks.
My luggage is not aboard the lifeboat.
You're staying aboard the roundabout. I've left you a sextant. There's plenty of food and liquor, even enough for you.
I'm not going.
No, you're not going. The ship is yours now. Do with her what you want.
But that's murder. You're murdering me.
I have no idea how soon the ship will sink, or even if she will. You may be picked up today, or tomorrow, or you may float here for years.
Captain English, we could...
Stay where you are.
But look,
this
Captain,
gun can speak even above your voice, Walks. This is for the last time. Goodbye, Mr. Walks.
Wait, Captain. It's not man's province to judge. No creature under your wings should be left to die.
Cast loose, Mr. Slaughter.
All right. Without compassion. Without... All right, then. Row, you fools. Row. Even now you may not have seen the last of me. Row.
And so I left the roundabout. I left everything I owned. Everything except my freedom. The roundabout grew dimmer in the fog, and the figure of a man, standing well forward in the bow of an empty ship, was the last thing I could see before the fog closed in.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you A Passenger to Bali by Ella St. Joseph, especially adapted for radio by Mr. MacDonald. John Daner was starred as Captain English, with Lou Merrill as the Reverend Mr. Walks. Featured in the cast were Lou Krugman, Michael Ann Barrett, Wilms Herbert, and Bruce Payne. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Ivan Ditmars.
Next week, escape with us to the Old West and the unusual story of a man who was a merciless professional killer, but who fought on the side of law, as Ernest Haycox tells it in his exciting story, Wild Jack Wrecked.
Stay tuned now for Make Believe Town, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, where you spend an hour with Frank Sinatra every Sunday afternoon on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Wheat Chex, Rice Chex, and Good Hot Ralston present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed adventure, Buzz and Happy are aboard the deluxe passenger spaceship, the Supernova, headed for the planet Saturn. As they enter a private compartment in search of a criminal, an occupant of the compartment pulls a ray gun on them.
Just keep moving down the corridor, Commander.
We're going to a lot of trouble. You must be counting on taking quite a lot of money from Grayson.
Think what you like. All right, hold it. This is where we part company. I just opened this little metal door. Now, crawl in there, both of you.
You can't put us in there. That's the ship's rubbish disposal chute.
I know what it is. Get in.
But before we reach Saturn, that chute will be emptied into space.
Of course. A blast of compressed air will sweep you out of the ship, and no one will know you're gone.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, Trouble Aboard the Supernova. Say, do you hear that, Space Patrollers? That's a flavor tester, an instrument for finding out how good breakfast cereals are. I'm standing in a grocery store right now, so let's run the flavor tester along this cereal shelf. Well, there's no flavor in these cereals. I'm not getting a peek from our flavor tester. Oh, it's starting now. Hey, the flavor tester's going wild, and here's the cereal that's doing it. Rice Chex, the super cereal that helps to supercharge you. Yeah, but it's in this flavor tester off before it jumps out of my hand. Yes, sir, gang, for wonderful flavor, wonderful Rice Chex. Crisp, golden, bite-sized biscuits you'll love. Try some today. Delicious Rice Chex. And remember, inside the package, there's a magic space picture. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, Trouble Aboard the Supernova. One of the most important industrial concerns in the United Planets is solar technic. Its research staff has been responsible for hundreds of discoveries in many fields of industry, and their achievements have increased the comfort and security of people on all the planets. Solar Technic is noted for its generosity in making its processes available not only to the government, but to other companies as well. Our story opens in the office of Clark Ruckler, the assistant coordinator of Solar Technic on the man-made planet Terra. Ruckler is talking to one of his young field men, Mark Grayson.
I can't impress this on you too strongly, Grayson. These documents are to be delivered to the supervisor of our Saturn plant and to no one else. Is that clear?
Yes, Mr.
Actually, my chief wanted me to deliver this microfilm strip myself, but for the time being, I can't leave Terra, so I'm turning the assignment over to you.
Well, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, Mr. Ruckler.
Frankly, I had to do a lot of talking to convince the chief that you could be trusted.
I appreciate that very much. I know my record wasn't too good before coming here to Solar Technic, but in the past 3 years...
I have your record here, and keep it clean. Now, here's the procedure. We'll blast off for Saturn tomorrow evening in 1800 hours aboard the Supernova. The strip of microfilm will be concealed in a special ring which the chief will give you tomorrow. That ring can be removed from your finger only by turning the setting in a certain way.
Well, like a combination lock.
Yes, but don't fool with it. The Saturn supervisor will remove it when you report to him. The information's extremely vital to Solar Technic, so don't tell anyone. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ruckler.
All right, Walbert, come in.
Did you get a look at Grayson? Yeah. Through the crack of the door. I can handle him all right.
If you do what I tell you, rough stuff won't be necessary. But carry a ray gun just in case.
Sure. He'll be in compartment 23, huh?
Mm-hmm. Don't get acquainted with him too quickly. Somewhere between the Earth and Mars orbit will be soon enough. He's crazy about chess. Suggest a game in your compartment or his.
Then I slip something in his coffee to put him to sleep and take the ring.
Right. Now, here's the duplicate. Put it on his finger. Then your part is over except for meeting me on Saturn.
What's going to keep Grayson from suspecting me? And the Saturn supervisor finds there's no microfilm in the ring.
A couple of muscle men will grab him before he gets to the Saturn plant. They'll rough him up and take the ring. Grayson will think they're the thieves.
Do you think you can peddle the microfilm without getting cut?
I've got that end all covered. Grayson will have to take the rap. With that past record of his, the chief will figure he staked the robbery.
But you recommended Grayson to carry the microfilm.
Yes. So I'll regretfully submit my resignation for having made such a costly mistake to the company. I'll resign from Solar Technic.
Yeah, and live like a king on what we get for the microfilm.
I waited years for a chance like this. And with your help, Walbert, it'll pay off.
Wow, a trip to Pluto on the Supernova. This isn't a mission, sir. It's a vacation.
I want it to look like a vacation, Happy. That's why we're in civilian clothes. But we'll have plenty of work to do when we reach Pluto. Uh-oh.
What is it, sir?
I just recognized one of the passengers. He's around the other side of the crowd. I don't want him to see us.
Who is it?
I can't recall his name right now, but he used to do a lot of space traveling on passenger ships a few years ago. For the result that a lot of the passengers found the trip more expensive than they'd planned.
You mean he's a thief?
Not that we could prove it. He'd get people into a friendly game of cards or chess, and they'd have a surprising run of luck. Grayson. That's it, Mark. Grayson. He hasn't been in trouble lately, so he may have gone straight, but it won't hurt to keep an eye on him. If you see him getting too chummy with any of the passengers.
The gate's opening, sir.
When we get aboard, we'll go right to our compartment. It's number 22.
I didn't mean to be gone so long, Commander. I lost track of the time.
That's all right, Happy. I won't need you for a few minutes, then. I'm just finishing a check of the Pluto Base Command report.
Know where we are now?
I'd say we're about 50,000 DUs outside the Earth's orbit.
Good guess, sir. 45,000. I've been watching the big chart in the Astro Lounge. It shows the progress of the ship.
Is our friend Grayson in there?
Well, he came in just as I was leaving. Want me to check on him, Commander?
Wait a while, Happy. In half an hour or so, you might go into the lounge. It would be rather embarrassing if someone was swindled with a Space Patrol Commander-in-Chief aboard.
I see what you mean.
We don't seem to be making much time.
How's that?
Well, I was just noticing the astro chart. The ship doesn't seem to be moving.
Oh. Well, there's a lot of space out here.
Yes, yes, indeed. A great deal of space, I'd say. Your first trip on the Supernova?
Well, my first in a long time.
Oh, we seem to be the only passengers out.
I've noticed.
Well, for some reason, I can never sleep when I'm traveling. It's strange when you consider I do a lot of it. I average about 2 trips a week. Warbot's the name. Clarence Warbot. I'm with the Transograph people.
Transograph?
Yeah, you probably never heard of it. We make special code machines for firms conducting interplanetary business.
That's a very interesting work.
It is. By the way, I didn't catch the name.
Oh, Grayson. Mark Grayson.
Oh, glad to know you, Grayson. It's nice to have an intelligent man to talk to. That is, if you don't mind talking.
No. No, not at all.
You know, I like you, Grayson. Looks like this isn't going to be such a dull trip after all. Maybe I would even miss my game of three-dimensional chess.
Three-dimensional chess?
Yeah. I don't suppose you play it.
Well, I used to. Once in a while.
Well, now, isn't this a coincidence? But it is rather late, and you're probably tired.
Oh, no. No, not at all.
Well, if you like, we could have the steward bring in a projector board, and maybe we could go to my compartment.
We could play a game right here in the lounge.
All right. I see we got company. That young fellow who just came in.
Oh, well, he won't bother us.
Well, maybe not, but I hate to be in the middle of the play and have him come up and start asking stupid questions. You know how these youngsters are, full of curiosity.
Well, we could play in my compartment.
Oh, fine. I'll have the steward bring out some nice hot coffee and a projector. Commander, it looks like Grayson is up to his old tricks.
That's so?
Yes, sir. He and this older man are in Grayson's compartment across the corridor. And the steward brought in a three-dimensional chess set.
3D chess isn't such a popular game. It's rather odd that Grayson should just happen to find such a congenial partner right off the bat. He may have had his man marked for some time. Still, we haven't any grounds to interfere.
Well, maybe we could just happen in by mistake. You know, the wrong compartment.
I'll keep that idea in mind.
It's your move, Grayson. Grayson, I played. Grayson?
Oh, good. He's asleep now.
Now to get the ring off of his finger because... Gentlemen, I'm afraid you have the wrong compartment.
I don't think so. Isn't that three-dimensional chess you're playing?
Yeah, that's right. My companions seem to have dozed off.
I see. He must trust you to be so relaxed. An old friend, no doubt.
No, I just met him. I don't see what business it is of yours.
Well, no offense. I'd like to ask a question. Who was winning?
Well, for someone who blundered into the wrong compartment, you got a lot of nerve.
It wasn't a blunder. Take a look at this.
Place the probe back.
Now, for your own good, tell me. Was he winning?
Yes, he was.
Very much?
Oh, quite a bit. Why?
This man used to make quite a good living playing chess with strangers. Apparently he still does.
You mean he... Oh, no. He went to sleep if he's dishonest. Wouldn't he stay awake?
I doubt that he's as sleepy as he pretends. He figures you're an honest man who will quietly go away and leave his winnings on the table. Happy.
Yes, sir?
Close the door. We'll wake Mr. Grayson. Come on, Grayson, wake up. I want to ask you a few questions. Come on, Grayson, wake up.
You're wasting your time, gentlemen. Get your hands up and turn around. Commander.
What'll do as he says, Happy. He has a ray gun. So you knew who Grayson was and outsmarted him.
That's right. I outsmarted Grayson. Now keep your hands up, both of you. I'll see if anyone is out in the corridor. All right. It's all clear. Come on. Now, no tricks, either of you. Just go down the corridor. All right. Hold it. This is where we part company, gentlemen. I'll just open this little metal door. Now, crawl in there.
You can't put us in there. It's a refuse disposal chute.
I know what it is. Climb in.
Before we reach Saturn, that chute will be emptied into space.
Of course. A blast of compressed air will sweep you out of the ship, and no one will know you're gone. And just to make sure... Commander! You too, Cadet. What? Look. And now I have to lift you into the chute. There, Commander. Now the Cadet. There. There, Space Patrolman. You'll be the first passengers to leave the supernova by way of the rubbish chute.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
Here's the secret Buzz Corey wants you to know about. The secret of how space patrollers get a rip-roaring start in the morning. Here's what they do. They eat a breakfast that supercharges them. A power breakfast with rice Chex or wheat Chex. Chex, the super cereal with that modern bite-sized design. The cereals with a swell new taste that you'll like right off the reel. Well, gang, now you know how space patrollers get that rip-roaring morning start. So get a flying start yourself every morning. Sit down to a nourishing breakfast with rice Chex or wheat Chex, the super cereals that help to supercharge you. And remember, you get a magic space picture inside every packet.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, Trouble Aboard the Supernova. Buzz and Happy boarded the luxury spaceship, the Supernova, on a mission to Pluto. The commander noticed that among the passengers was Mark Grayson, formerly a petty crook, but now employed by the highly reputable Solar Technic firm. Grayson's superior, Clark Ruckler, has engineered events so that Grayson will be held responsible for the theft of valuable microfilm documents, which Grayson carries in a special ring on his finger. Ruckler's partner, Walbott, was about to remove the ring from Grayson's finger when Buzz and Happy entered Grayson's compartment on the spaceship. Pretending to be a victim of Grayson's supposed dishonesty, Walbott suddenly pulled a ray gun, and after rendering Buzz and Happy unconscious, pushed them into the refuse disposal chute of the big spaceship. Before the ship reaches Saturn, the contents of the chute will be blasted out into space. Now recovering from the effects of the ray gun, Buzz and Happy find themselves in the narrow confines of a small, pitch-black room.
The opening must be right here, so I can see the thin grooves where the door fits. Let's try to force it open. We've got to get out of here before they enter the chute.
It's no use.
Maybe somebody will hear us pounding and open the door.
It's probably soundproof, Happy. Anyway, nobody will be out in the corridor at this time. Hey, wait a minute. If that fellow that put us in here didn't search us, he left our money to his papers.
I don't have mine, sir. It's back in the compartment.
I've got mine.
Well, we can contact the captain of the ship and get out of here in 2 minutes. Then we can find the guy that put us in here and really give him a going over.
Now, hold on, Happy. There's more to this than the crooked chess game.
Huh?
He suggested usually had been locked up in a closet to give our man a chance to escape and landed on Saturn. This fellow was willing to get rid of us permanently.
Yeah, that's what makes me so mad.
You get out of here. I don't want to know we've escaped. That'll give us a chance to find out what he really was doing in Grayson's compartment.
Maybe he's going to put Grayson in here, too.
Maybe. Let's see how quickly we can get out of here. Commander Corey calling Captain Ferris of the Supernova. Commander Corey calling Captain Ferris of the Supernova.
Captain Ferris, go ahead, Commander.
You know I'm aboard, I suppose.
Yeah, I noticed the NSA asked your name on the passenger list, so I followed through. No special attention.
I know, but I'm afraid I'm going to need a little special attention.
Anything you say, Commander?
Send the regular steward to the refuse disposal opening in passenger corridor A immediately. I'm in the chute.
I'll come myself.
Now, wait, Captain. Just send the steward. Don't want any excitement aboard the ship.
Very well, Commander. That's your wish.
Now, Captain, one thing.
Yeah.
Pass the word along not to open the chute until Cadet Happy and I are out of it.
Your move, Grayson.
Huh? Oh, what did you say?
I said it's your move.
Oh. Excuse me, Will, but did I doze off?
Oh, you hardly had time, I assure you. And if you had been asleep, I'd have taken the opportunity to take advantage of you.
What? Oh, okay. Oh. Here. How do you like that? Check and mate.
Ah, one again. And I thought I had you. You're a wizard with 3D chess, Grayson. I've never seen anything like it.
Just luck, I guess.
I wish I had that kind of luck. Well, we're both getting sleepy. You better turn in. We'll be on Saturn in about 3 hours. And thanks for the game. Honestly, I enjoyed losing.
Well, the game did me a lot of good. Believe me, with a lot of tension. There was nothing like a nice, quiet game.
Luggage is all packed, Commander.
Well, fine, Happy. We'll be landing in Saturn in 20 minutes. We'll wait till everybody else is off the ship before we leave our compartment.
What about Grayson?
I'd check on him to the captain. He's working for Solar Technic. One of the special guards is meeting him when the ship lands. The captain showed me the spaceogram. 15 minutes till we land. If we get to Saturn headquarters, we'll space it from Pluto Base Command. That will be a few hours late.
Station 15, Cadet Happy here. No, Commander Corey isn't here. I think he's somewhere around Saturn headquarters, maybe. Yes, sir, I'll tell him. Oh, Commander, Major Harper called. He said Colonel Redding has been trying to reach him.
I just talked to him. He still has a detail watching Corbett. Corbett hasn't left the Saturn Space Hotel since he checked in.
Oh, yes, sir, but did you know that Grayson never arrived at the Saturn plant of Solar Technic?
Yes, I saw the report from the supervisor.
Well, what do you suppose happened to him? The uniformed guard from Solar Technic met Grayson at the spaceport.
No, I'll get it home. Station 15, Commander Corey here. Who? All right, send him in. Happy? You have a visitor.
Who, sir?
Under the circumstances, the last person you'd expect to walk into Saturn Space Patrol headquarters.
Who do you mean, sir? Grayson.
Commander Corey? Yes, Grayson. Sit down. Happy, put on the recorder.
Yes, sir.
Grayson, you were due at Solar Technic plant 3 hours ago. Where have you been?
I've been robbed.
What about the guard who met you at the Supernova?
He was one of the robbers.
What was stolen from him?
The microphone. He wasn't ready. If I the ring off my finger. Here, look. You can see when I cut my finger there.
Now, wait a minute. The guard robbed you?
Yes. He and another man. A man in a red plastic mask. The guard and I were in a surface car driving down Avenue J when...
Now, hold it, Grayson. How does the man in the red plastic mask fit in?
He stepped out and hailed the surface car. The guard stopped. They drove me to Saturn City Park. Then the guard held me, while the other man, the man in the red mask, filed off the ring. Then they drove me around a while, turned me loose. Look, I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth, honestly, Commander.
Happy, what do you think of the story?
Well, it seems to me that if the third man was in cahoots with the guard, he wouldn't have needed a mask. At least he wouldn't have worn one on the street. But that's what happened. Don't you believe me? Look, if I were lying, why wouldn't I make up a more plausible story?
That's right. Possibly the fake guard and the masked man did take the ring after all.
Well, they did.
Okay. Who's Walbert?
A fellow I met on the Supernova. We played 3D chess in my compartment. Yeah.
Anything unusual happened during the game?
Only that I won, and I hadn't played in 3 years.
Were there any interruptions? Did you fall asleep, for example?
No. And now that you mention it, I thought I got groggy for a minute. I thought I dozed off, but when I opened my eyes, there was Walbert smiling at me, waiting for me to move. It had only been a few seconds.
It had been quite a few seconds, Grayson. When I entered your compartment, you were sound asleep.
You were in my compartment? I never saw you until I came into this office 2 minutes ago.
While you were asleep, Walbert forced us into the refuse suite. Then he came back and finished the game.
I can't believe it.
You want us to believe your story? Well, Grayson, you may be telling the truth. I'll put you in custody here at headquarters while Happy and I visit Walbert. First, give me a full description of that ring.
Well, it had a setting that you turn a certain way in the band string. Inside the band...
What are you doing here so soon?
As soon as I heard that Grayson didn't show up at the Saturn plant, I persuaded the chief I should come here to investigate. After all, I recommended Grayson.
But I thought you were going to wait till I contacted you.
Why waste the time? The Tony Guard and our masked man took care of Grayson.
But how do we know what Grayson will do?
If he has any sense, he'll get as far away from Saturn as he can. With his record, he'll believe he didn't arrange the robbery himself.
Suppose he's caught. If they give him a brainograph test, the Space Patrol will know he's telling the truth.
Yes, but he doesn't know all the truth. He doesn't know you removed the real ring aboard the Supernova and substituted the other.
Yeah. That's right. And the 2 Space Patrolmen that saw me in Grayson's compartment, they're floating out beyond Saturn now.
Yes. The only thing Grayson can tell about you is that you played chess with him. Let the Space Patrol look for the fake guard and the guy in the red mask.
Yeah, nice touch, Rucker. Nice touch.
Yes, thanks. Well, how about that ring and the microphone?
Yeah, I got it right here in my pocket.
You can have this.
I don't know. Get into the other room.
I'll do that.
Yeah?
Remember us, Mr. Walbert?
I don't believe so.
You put us in the refuse suite of the Supernova. Fortunately, we were able to get more roomy accommodation.
We got out of the chute.
Shut the door, Happy. And search our chest player for weapons.
Yes. Oh, a ray gun. Looks familiar, too.
Find anything else of interest?
Not yet, sir.
Walbert, did you take a ring from Grayson?
A ring? I don't know what you're talking about.
You took some drastic measures to keep us from finding out what was going on in Grayson's compartment. Let's have the truth.
Oh, Commander,
Now quit stalling. Where's the ring?
All right. My jacket pocket. The right one. It's in there.
Take a look at it.
That's the ring, all right. And it looks like the one Grayson described.
Watch him, Happy. I'll see if I can open it.
Yes,
sir. 2 turns to the right. 3 to the left. 6 down, 7. Here's the microphone.
Even Grayson wasn't lying.
Good work, Commander. You saved me a nasty job. Who are you? I'm Clark Rucker, Assistant Coordinator of Solar Technics, Terrell. Just how did you happen to be here? Well, I have reason to suspect this man Walbert. I came here because, frankly, I'm on the spot. I recommended Grayson. And I'm happy to know he's innocent. Now, if you'll just give me the microphone, I'll see that it's delivered to our staffing representative. Well, just a minute. We'll all go down to headquarters. Well, if that's the way you want it.
Get them, Walbert. Get to the desk. I wouldn't try that, Walbert. Let go of that gun, Rustler.
No use continuing, Happy. The boys seem exhausted.
Yes, sir. You have the microfilm, sir?
You bet. We'll turn it over to the Saturn plant, hand Rucker and Walbert over to the terminal, and then go on to Pluto.
Fine, Commander. But, sir,
Yes,
can't we go to Pluto in a plain Space Patrol cruiser?
Why? Don't you like luxury space liners like the Supernova?
Oh, they're all right, I guess, but the rubbish chutes are a little tight under the arms.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. Gang, here's big news about the most fabulous Space Patrol equipment ever offered on this program. The Space Patrol Microscope. So powerful, it makes things look 15 times bigger than they really are. So compact, it fits right in your pocket. Offered for just a short time longer. Offered so you can see the thousands of secrets and mysteries hidden away in gardens, yards, and houses. Think of it. You get a complete scientific microscope kit. You get the official Space Patrol microscope. Strong, all-plastic 5-inch body. Glistening emerald tone finish. Powerful, optically ground double lens. You get the famous atomic particle slide. Examine it in the dark through your Space Patrol microscope, and it looks like a wild, flaming comet. You get a set of 5 transparent slides for mounting specimens. Each slide is 2 inches long, clear as crystal, made to wear and wear and wear. A miracle of invention, the Space Patrol microscope. You just take something small, a blade of grass, a piece of string, a bud, place it on one of the crystal clear slides, slip it under the lens tube, and you can see that object magnified 15 times its actual size. You see details that leave you gasping, that set your mind spinning and your pulse beating. You see the living creatures in a drop of water, the designs of fingerprints, like whirlpools in a furious cataract. And a mere splinter, it looks like a giant sword. It's fun, mystifying, educational magic. So hurry, send for your Space Patrol microscope kit today. Hurry, because this big offer soon comes to an end. Just buy a box of rice checks or wheat checks. Then with your name and address, send 25 cents in coin and a rice check or wheat check box top to Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. This offer good only in the USA and may be withdrawn at any time. That's Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. And now a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are attempting to rescue a girl who is being held captive in the metal factory in space in the orbit of Jupiter Moon number 2. They have just entered the cargo hold of the plant and have raised the face pieces of their spacesuits.
Commander, someone's coming. I can see them through the door at the other end of the cargo hold.
George, I'll do your gunmetal.
Yes, sir. Commander, I can't move. Something's holding my feet. Someone's on a magnetic force field, holding our metal spacesuits. Get out of your suit. Hurry. Yes. Commander, look up above. The cargo crane is coming down on us with an Endurium beam on it. We've got to get out of these suits. With a magnetic field under us, that beam could crush us.
Be sure to join us next week for the thrilling story, Peril Over Jupiter, when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Wilson again present Space Patrol. Special bulletin for boys and girls in Youngstown, Ohio, and Albany, New York. Buzz Corey's own space battle cruiser, the Ralston Rocket, will be in your area next week. Don't miss it. The Ralston Rocket. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moses, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Devery. Other players were Bela Kobach, Joe Cranston, and Ken Mayer. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Wilson again present Space Patrol. Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.